Good morning. Welcome to the County of Placer Board of Supervisors meeting for Monday, April 24th, 2017 at 9:01 a.m. Thank you all for joining us at a very unusual Monday meeting. We appreciate you all making the effort to get here on the correct day. Thank you. We are going to begin this morning with a flag salute led by our County Executive, David Bosch. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we will now move to our consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda have been recommended for approval by the County Executive Department. All items will be approved by a single roll call vote. However, anyone may ask to address consent items prior to the board taking action, and any item may be moved for the discussion. Is there anyone on the board who would like to move any item? Is there anyone in Tahoe who would like to move any item? Is there anyone in Auburn who would like to move any item off the consent agenda? All right, seeing none. All right, this is a roll call.
Holmes? Yes. Duran? Yes. Wygant? Yes. Euler? Montgomery?
Yes. Well done, everyone. Okay, let's move to public comment. This is the time that anyone may address the board on any item not on today's agenda. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes, since the time allocated for public comment is 15 minutes. If all comments cannot be heard within the 15-minute time limit, the public comment period will be taken up again at the end of regular session. The board is not permitted to take any action on items addressed under public comment. Please come to the podium, and if you would give us your name and general place of residence, that would be fantastic.
Good morning. My name is Steve Pettit. I live in North Auburn. I'm here to talk about the Centennial Reservoir. NID's Centennial Reservoir project to build yet another dam on the beautiful Bear River, the second most endangered river in America, must be stopped. We want no Centennial Dam, and we want no Centennial Reservoir. We want this scenic River Canyon corridor to be used better. I'm asking the Board of Supervisors, and I'm asking the Placer County Board of Supervisors and the Nevada County Board of Supervisors to declare their opposition to this ill-conceived project. I'm also asking NID to demonstrate leadership and vision in the smart management of both the public's water and the public and private land supporting their systems. I'm asking them to abandon this bad deal project. Federal Reserve senior economist Gary Zimmerman recently declared the Centennial Project an economic boondoggle. The project makes no sense water-wise and imposes terrible and irreversible consequences on the land and the landowners. The Bear River watershed already has 4 dams, and there's no water left to fill this reservoir. Why spend $1.2 billion on a bleak 6-mile, mostly empty eyesore that will cost NID ratepayers an average of $1,300 per year and taxpayers north of $750 million? There are 120 land parcels and 25 homes affected who are our neighbors. They are now locked in and must sell to NID. Many of these soon-to-be refugees will be forced to move outside the area away from family and friends. I'm asking both counties to work together to work collectively with NID to save this land and use it more wisely. We must protect this valuable and largely pristine River Canyon corridor on the lower Bear River. I'm asking you to create a Bear River recreation area instead. As Mark Twain once said, buy land, they're not making any more. If NID is allowed to flood this unique foothill county resource, it will be lost forever. Creating a Bear River recreation area based on 1/2 of the proposed reservoir footprint land would cost NID ratepayers almost nothing the taxpayers a relatively minuscule cost and significantly reduce the impact to existing landowners. This repurposed parkland would then be carefully developed by both counties into a fantastic public river canyon with multiple recreation purposes, thereby generating permanent local jobs and year-round revenue. Envision Bear River Recreation Area as a...
Mr. Pettit, if you could just quickly wrap up, please. Thank you.
I invite you to visit the Bear River Campground and witness the river raging through the campground. The Bear River Recreation would preserve the foothill land legacy for future generations to enjoy. This is a very smart use of this irreplaceable river canyon land. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pettit. And I will note that the river is not actually raging through the campground, it's next to the campground, so.
Alongside.
I had a vision there for a moment. Thank you very much. If you'd give that to the clerk of the board. Thank you. Any other public comment?
Good morning, Supervisors. Mike Arabedian of Placer County. Today, as some of you may know, is Armenian Remembrance Day. It's the 102nd anniversary of the beginning of the Armenian Genocide. In 1915, our priests, educators, intellectuals, and political leaders were rounded up and marched through towns and taken out and killed, though they also joined the exodus, the forced exodus into the desert, where 1.5 million Armenians perished. But I say priests first because the Armenian Apostolic Church was founded in 1 AD, and 300 years later, Armenia became the first country to adopt Christianity as a state religion. The church is inseparable from our culture and our governance. Now, Armenians were detained in Turkey to run businesses and facilities and the like, and as I understand, the number I've seen is that 95,000 were forced to convert to Islam. In 1981 to 1983, I was active in the Armenian, I was an Armenian activist in New York for those couple of years, and I became familiar with some of our churches then, and there are others, but I visited the Presbyterian Armenian Church that I don't know if it's still in Chicago, but there are Catholic parishes. There was a Mormon mission in Armenia, so there are Armenians settled in Utah and elsewhere, of course. Now, in today's terms, the 800,000 Armenians became refugees. But there have been waves of Armenian before that genocide and later. Like when Lebanon erupted or Syria erupts, then new waves of Armenians come, often to Southern California. My grandparents came in 1906, my grandfather in 1909, my grandmother and one aunt. And they settled in Tulare County to farm. Now, my mom would be unhappy. She's not with us if I didn't mention her half of the family, the non-Armenian half. She was born onto a ranch in eastern Nevada that had been there for several generations. And she and my grandparents on her side came to California in 1917. So my California grandparents were establishing my roots over that 11-year period. Now, there is something you can... If you have time and you're interested, there's something. I went last night to see a movie about the Armenian genocide. It's a feature movie playing at the Grill, the Studio Grill in Rockland, right where I live. It's a movie called The Promise, and it's about a young man who leaves his village to go to medical school in Constantinople, which has some resonance for me because my son became a physician in January. And both he and my father have been able to get back to our old village in Armenia to visit. I have yet to go there myself. I have also yet to explore Armenians in Placer County. I know there are some, and there are some well-known and so forth. So as I understand it, the number I've seen, there are only 33 survivors of the genocide left. I was at a meeting where they were all seated in Times Square in the early 80s, many of them. Now very few are left, and if you don't mind, just a moment of silence for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garabedian, and I would be happy to introduce you to another Garabedian to whom you are apparently not related who lives in Meta Vista. So thank you for that.
a very common name. The IAN usually gives it away.
Yeah, please come forward. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. My name is Judy Cook, and I live in Applegate. You'll have to forgive me if I'm a little hoarse. My friends Pine, Oak, and Scotchbroom have visited me, and I'm having a little difficulty. I'm here this morning to thank the supervisors that have been so generous with their time and attention to my cause, which is an increased budget for the Placer County Library System. It's time, and as we look at one of the things that we can have that's going to be really valuable in our community, it's the availability of books, computers, because it encourages reading, and reading is a basic skill. If you can't read, you can't use the internet effectively. If you can't read, you can't post things on the internet in a way that's acceptable to the largest amount of people. You can't do those effective searches and then sort out what's good and what's bad. You don't have a way to recognize that because you don't have the logical thinking that goes with reading. So on that note, I'd like to ask you to support, please, a larger budget for the library in the coming fiscal year, and we'll see you on Budget Day. Thanks.
Thank you, Judy. Any other public comment here in Auburn? All right, seeing none. Any public comment in Tahoe? I see no one leaping up. Thank you. All right, we will move then from public comment to board member and county executive reports. Let's start with board members. Any board member reports today? Supervisor Duran.
Yes, I had the opportunity to go to the opening of the Al Johnson Wildlife Area in the city of Roseville, and I thought I saw Al. There he is. Al's a former city manager for the city of Roseville, long time, did some tremendous work with infrastructure and starting Roseville down a great path of providing services under Al's leadership. They implemented, along with their specific plans, over 100 parks. The Al Johnson Wildlife Area consists of approximately 1,800 acres of open space, which is at the far end of Phillips Road. It's a tremendous asset to the city and to the region. And from what I gather from the report on it, it's going to be used as a water basin in the future, as well as some other things that are involving the public. It's a great area. I encourage everybody to go out and take a look at it. It's very serene out there. So.
Thank you, Supervisor Duran. Supervisor Holmes.
Yes, last night I had the opportunity and the pleasure of joining the Placer County Youth Commission in their Youth Impact Awards ceremony. There was 9 recipients of honorary mention and 3 winners of the awards. The Youth Commission has put this together on their own under the leadership of Corey Admonson. I don't see him here. But it was very well received. I'm pleased that Twyla Abrahamson and Jeff Brown was there representing Placer County Health and Human Services. It was really rewarding to see all these young people that are doing fantastic things this early in their life. And they are, as I said in my comments, they're the future leaders, but they're the leaders that are leading their generation into the future. So it was very, very good ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Supervisor Holmes. Supervisor Euler or Wygant, anything today? Okay. Then we will move to county executive or department reports.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I understand that we have a couple of department heads with us this morning that'd like to approach and speak to the board. First, our Community Development Resource Agency Director, Steve Pedretti.
Thank you.
Good morning, Steve Pedretti. A couple of quick items. First is that just to let you know that we are finally have our first electronic plan check of improvement plans has started. We're doing it on a trial basis. So that started last week. We got 1 or 2 more coming this week. And we hope to go into full production next month with Placer Vineyards. A number of the Placer Vineyards improvement plans are coming in starting May 22nd. They said they've got 7 sets. So we're moving forward on that. We look forward to fully implementing it. We still need to work with water agencies, fire districts, and others to really fully implement, but we're started, so that's a good thing. But the real reason I'm here today is to talk to inform you that we have one of our employees, Crystal Jacobson, principal planner from Cedra, wanted to announce that she recently was awarded the Public Servant of the Year Award from the North Lake Tahoe Resort Association. This is for her work on the Tahoe Basin Area Plan. She spent 5 years of her life working on this plan, putting it together, working with all the stakeholders, and bringing it to fruition. It's a big accomplishment to get the plan done. It's bigger for her to get the recognition that she did such good work. And so I wanted to make sure and publicly embarrass her, if at all possible, by bringing it up. But we're very proud of this. I wish I'd been around for most of it. I was here just for the tail end, but otherwise I could take more credit for it. But I really do. Crystal did a great job. Thanks to the CEO, David Bosch, who nominated her for this award. Beyond that, I think Rick Erie has something announcement to make. Hopefully he's up there in Tahoe.
He is. I see him sitting in the front row. But before Rick comes up, I wanted to take the opportunity to thank Crystal. Crystal really did put 5 years of her life into this, 5 years that she will never get back. And I say that because I exchanged emails and phone calls with her, sometimes at 10:30 at night, on weekends, around these the plan update. She was absolutely masterful in dealing with the myriad of competing interests in Tahoe. Not an easy place to get business done. And I'm delighted that not only was it a unanimous vote by our board, but it was a unanimous vote by the TRPA board in support of that plan update. And the recognition from the Resort Association, Visitors Bureau, and Chamber was absolutely the very least that anyone could do for you. So thank you very much, Crystal. Really appreciate all your hard work. All right, Rick Erie in Tahoe.
Good morning, Rick Erie with Community Development Resource Agency. Just wanted to take a minute of your time to share some good news in regards to customer service here in our Tahoe City office. For projects that disturb 10,000 square feet up to an acre of land are required to go through the Lahontan Water Quality Control Board for their review and approval. But as of last week, we have been able to work with the Lahontan staff and are now able to provide that service for Lahontan here in our Tahoe City office. So now our customers don't need to work with the Lahontan Water Quality Control Board, drive down there and get their plans approved. They can come here as a one-stop shop, and we can process those plans for them, as well as conducting field inspections. This benefits not only our customers, but also the Lahontan staff, which is very appreciative of them not having to come out our way during construction season to do those final inspections. And so as one of those things, I just wanted to report to you folks.
Thank you very much, Rick. That's really great news. And for those who are not aware, Lahontan is in South Lake Tahoe, so when we had projects in North Lake Tahoe, our project proponents, whether it's a single-family residence or others, would have to go all the way to South Lake Tahoe to get that permitting, and likewise Lahontan staff would have to come up to North Lake Tahoe to take a look at the project, so this saves a lot of vehicle miles traveled. Thank you very much, Rick. Much appreciated.
You're welcome.
Anything else from Cedra? Any other department reports today?
I believe Jeff Brown is here with us as well.
Okay.
So good morning, Chair Montgomery, members of the board. Jeff Brown, your Health and Human Services Director. In the spirit of honoring employees, I'm very pleased to be here this morning to begin to honor Maureen Bauman on the eve of her impending retirement. So it's a very bittersweet moment for the department. While we're very happy for Maureen, we're very, very sad to lose her. You know, she has been an incredible employee, not just your average dedicated 27-year employee, but she has led our adult system of care for the majority of her career. And she has not just led mental health and substance abuse treatment and prevention efforts throughout Placer County, but she's been a leader around the state, expanding mental health services, but also working on campaigns to reduce mental health stigma. She's been a tireless advocate for the underserved, always willing to do whatever it takes to improve their condition. And she's been a great partner working with the community. I think she really realizes that if We want to have sustainable efforts with whatever we do. We need to work with those collaborative partnerships. She's been at the forefront of some of the most exciting work that our department has done, particularly the implementation of the Mental Health Services Act. And I have to say that she has been a great example of the best that Placer County has to offer our residents in terms of leadership and public service. And then finally, I have to mention that she's also going to be honored on the evening of May 4th in Sacramento by the Sacramento region of the American Society of Public Administration. She's actually going to be receiving their Lifetime Achievement Award.
Wow.
Wow. Well, thank you very much. I have to say that Placer County has been a great place to work, live, and play. There was 125,000 people when I got here. I started a nonprofit, so really, what an adventure we have had in terms of this county. I just want to take a few moments and thank a few people, if that's okay. So, my partner Lisa, for just really supporting me. I have loved my job, and I spend a lot of hours doing it, and so I just feel like I get a lot of support from home to be able to do, what I love. And I've really been blessed to work with lots of fabulous mentors and learn from each one of them, although I have to say that our current HHS director, Jeff Brown, is probably one of the best. So thank you, David Bosch, for making that happen. I've been really blessed also with peers and managers and staff, so we just have a fabulous team in the adult system of care and really in HHS, and I just like to call out a few people. Jonna Jones has been my secretary for over 12 years. She has organized, dedicated, and she never forgets a rule, which is really good for me. So her job is to make me look good, and I just appreciate that. I'd also like to call out Marie Osborne. She has been just a great assistant director and is going to continue with her knowledge and skills to help the adult system of care, and your new director, Amy Ellis, is also going to be great. This board has just been such a great support to HHS. You've been fiscally conservative, which has helped the county, but there's always been concern about the services that we need to help our recipients, and so that I'm grateful, because it doesn't happen in every single county, and I want to acknowledge that. You really help us, you allow us to really be able to help, does it really need the help? And for me, I have to say, this is personal. I have been a person in recovery from drug and alcohol addiction for over 29 years. I have a brother, a dear brother, that has schizophrenia, and today my two parents both are diagnosed with Alzheimer's. But I know it's all of us. It's people that are our families, our friends, the mental illness and drug and alcohol addiction and cognitive impairments are really affecting our whole community. And so I just want to appreciate that there's lots to be done, and there's lots of support here in Placer County, which is wonderful. And really, I just want to thank you. I've been blessed to be able to be in an organization where I can hear the stories of recovery. So I get to see people that come in, and we get to do interventions, and they can tell us about, being in recovery and being out in the community and becoming employed and being independent, and that is just really a joy. And elderly who get to stay in their homes with the assistance they need and are protected because of APS. So we really have, it's such an honor to be a part of seeing all that great work happen. So really, I want to thank you for honoring me, but really thank you for letting me be a part of the system. People come into us in despair, and when they get some help and feel supported, they have hope, and that's really what's so important. So thank you so much for this great honor today.
Thank you, Maureen. You're not allowed to go anywhere yet. So you have to have the requisite roasting, I think. Supervisor Holmes.
Well, it's been my great honor to be asked to read a commendation that has been prepared for you. And if you'll allow me, I will try to read it without breaking up. In the matter of a commendation recognizing Maureen F. Bauman, F stands for fabulous, for her remarkable accomplishments on behalf of the Placer County vulnerable adults older adults and their families. Whereas during Maureen's 26 years of leadership, including 16 years as the director of the adult system of care, she has developed innovative programs to enhance service delivery to their vulnerable, underserved adults and older adults residing in Placer County. And whereas Maureen, through her tenure as the director of the adult system of care, mental health director, drug and alcohol administrator, public guardian, public administrator, and director of medical clinics, and she only got paid for one job.
We just have hats.
Has provided oversight and leadership to programs that assist residents to improve health outcomes and maintain their health and safety at home and in their community, including the development of a 5-year plan to respond to the growing older adult population within the county. You're looking at me. Whereas Maureen's career, including serving as the chair of the California Mental Health Services Authority, has centered on developing and implementing innovative consumer-driven recovery services that focus on consumer empowerment family needs, increasing awareness of suicide prevention, and reducing stigma for individuals struggling with mental illness and/or substance abuse. And whereas Maureen is a highly respected leader among the state's county mental health directors, the County Alcohol and Drug Program Administrators Association, and was the recipient of the California State University Sacramento Alumni 2014 Distinguished Service Award for her contributions to her community. And whereas Maureen has worked successfully with the criminal justice system to implement and expand treatment services, including collaborative courts, conditional release, assisted outpatient treatment, inmate health services, and public safety realignment. And whereas Maureen has consistently strived to address the needs of the homeless population and has led the development of a continuum of housing for individuals with serious mental illness, housing over 440 individuals annually. And whereas Maureen has provided excellent leadership, mentoring, and support to hundreds of employees by encouraging innovation, promoting person-centered care, and truly embracing the concept of recovery. Now, therefore, let it be known that the above commendation was duly passed by the Board of Supervisors of the County of Placer on behalf of the citizens of Placer County on Tuesday, April 24th, 2017. Congratulations, Maureen, and we wish you well in your retirement.
Thank you so much. You heard my remarks, so
Yeah.
thank you so much.
I just wanted to say, Maureen, thank you very much for, we've served together for just over 8 years now. And, well, the path has not always been smooth. It has definitely been moving in the right direction, and we've all been moving forward on just so many issues around mental health and services to older adults. And I hope you keep an eye on us and prod us when necessary, because that never hurts. And so thank you for all the prodding in the past. I very much appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I just
Supervisor Holmes.
I have some closing comments.
Okay.
It's been my pleasure to serve with you on the Mental Health, Drug, and Alcohol Advisory Board for more than 12 years. And just serving on that has given me such a better understanding of the complex health and human services that are provided throughout the county. And although I couldn't make it every meeting, I tried to do my best to be at as many as I could. And just learning from your expertise and the people that you brought in to explain what's going on with the mental health services and drug addiction and substance use has been very, very powerful for me. And I pledge to you that I will continue serving on that as best I can.
Excellent.
So thank you for your leadership, and I'm going to really miss you. Thank you, Maureen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any other department items? Okay, that's it for department items. Before we move to our 9:10 item, I did just get a notification that an Apple phone with a life-proof case was left in the men's restroom. So if that is your phone, please go to the front office to claim that. It's black and gray, Jim. All right, we will now move to our 9:10 timed item. This is a commendation for the Placer Nature Center. We're being asked to present a commendation recognizing the Nature Center for over 25 years of service to Placer County. And who is here from the Nature Center today? Please come forward. Oh, a whole bunch of people. Excellent. Why don't you all come forward? The more the merrier. All right, so I will read this commendation, and then we'll ask for some comments, and then we will take a photo. In the matter of a commendation recognizing the Placer Nature Center for over 25 years of service to Placer County, whereas the Placer Nature Center was established in 1991 on a 60-acre site with the California Conservation Corps in Auburn, California, located within the foothill oak woodlands of the Sierra Nevada mountains, having their first public programs in 1992, and whereas the Placer Nature Center's mission is to deliver community-based and volunteer-supported environmental education programs to children, families, schools, and community groups, and whereas Placer Nature Center has served over 150,000 visitors in a variety of engaging programs, including nature walks, exhibits, and events which integrate local, natural, and cultural history in their over 25 years of operation. And whereas Placer Nature Center's vision is to be a partner with and a resource for local schools, community groups, and other agencies, as together they deliver the knowledge, model, and behaviors that make our community scientifically literate and ecologically sustainable. And whereas the Placer Nature Center explores with their visitors the interrelationships between a quality environment and the quality of life that benefits the individual and the whole community, and whereas the Placer Nature Center is committed to raising awareness about the environment and the issues facing our society through programs for all ages, now therefore let it be known that the above commendation was duly passed by the Board of Supervisors of the County of Placer on behalf of the citizens of Placer County at a regular meeting held April 24, 2017, and hereby commends the Placer Nature Center for over 25 years of service to Placer County. We urge every citizen to take time to recognize, visit, and support the Placer Nature Center as a powerful and vital community organization that contributes to the citizenry's environmental literacy and the well-being of the community. Congratulations on over 25 years. And when you're done with your comments, I'll come down and we'll get a photo.
Well, thank you, and good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Sue Grogan, and I've been a docent at Placer Nature Center for a little over 13 years. So some 25 plus years ago, two women, Linda Desai and Leslie Warren, had a vision. And after much hard work, that vision became a reality when Placer Nature Center opened its doors to the public on a portion of the land belonging to the California Conservation Corps, which is located in Christian Valley. So thank you to the CCC for providing the space to realize a dream for Linda and Leslie. Since that opening day, we have had over 150,000 visitors come through our doors. Many are school children participating in a program that is specific for their grade level. Others are families or community groups. And these
You're doing great. Don't be nervous.
Okay. Families and community groups who explore the facilities and trails and enjoy a picnic by the pond. As a docent, I hear the many oohs and ahs as a child eagerly looks for the queen bee in our demonstration beehive. Or when in our interactive watershed room, a child can follow a snowflake or a raindrop that falls in the mountains and then makes its way down the streams and the rivers, and ends up either in Folsom or Camp Far West, and then on through the Delta and out to the Pacific Ocean. Out on the trail, the happy chatter of the children suddenly hushes when they see a deer, and they all excitedly point to it and say, "Look, look, look, look." They're fascinated. In his book, Last Child in the Woods, Richard Lowe observes how, as a society, we are becoming disconnected from our natural world, although in reality, we are all a part of nature. He also coined the phrase nature deficit disorder, as more and more children prefer being indoors with their electronic devices than playing outside. At Placer Nature Center, with its trails, activities, including summer camps, enclosed garden and outdoor natural play area, we provide the opportunity for children and adults to reconnect with nature. We're now looking forward to our next 25 years as we continue to fulfill our mission statement by providing community-based environmental education to children, families, schools, and community groups. And so, on behalf of the staff, board members, and volunteers at Placer Nature Center, I thank you, Placer County Board of Supervisors, for your proclamation recognizing the 25 years of outdoor education in Placer County. Thank you. And please come visit us.
Supervisor Holmes.
Yes, thank you for this presentation. It's well deserved, but I have to point out Linda Desai, and I'm going to say a few words, and please don't start crying. We've known each other for many, many years, and the Placer Nature Center wouldn't be what it is today and wouldn't be going where it's going to go without your passion, your heart and soul putting into this to make sure that our young people have the opportunity to see nature in its fullest. I went there right after I got elected because there was a tour, and then you had the display of the watershed, and it made a big impact on me. I knew what it was, but actually seeing a display there really made a difference in how I view our Sierra Nevada and the watershed that the water produced for all the residents of California. And so I just have to give you a shout out for someone like you that just makes it happen through all the trials and tribulations. It's really an honor. So thank you for what you've done.
Indeed. Any other comments from any board member? Okay, before I come down there, I do have a few comments. So I have toured the facility. It is absolutely phenomenal. And my only regret about this presentation today is that we could not have done it on Saturday, which was Earth Day, or at least when we celebrated Earth Day. I think the value that the Placer Nature Center brings to Placer County is often unremarked. And so I'm really, really pleased that we are able to recognize you and bring to the attention of folks who may not be aware that you not only exist, but you have existed for over 25 years. So thank you very much for the opportunity to present this today. I'll now come down with this commendation, and we'll get a quick photo. Sneak in here between you two. Ladies in the middle. This is rock. We good?
Thank you.
Everybody's eyes open? Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and congratulations on 25 years. It's amazing.
Oh, we've got 25 more now.
You've got 25 more to
Yeah.
go. Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we will now move to our 925 times item. This is a Health and Human Services item. This is a proclamation recognizing April 2017 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and specifically April 26th, which is this Wednesday, as Denim Day in Placer County. Maureen Bauman presenting. Welcome.
Yes, thank you. So, Madam Chair, members of the board, again, the proclamation, as you just described, is something that we have brought forward before, and we want to bring it forward again in 2017. Sexual Assault Awareness Month and the declaration of Denim Day are both events intended to draw attention to the fact that rape and sexual assault remains a serious concern and issue in our society. Harmful attitudes about any sexual assault allow these crimes to persist and allow victims and survivors to be re-victimized. So the month and the day are really established to call attention to the misconceptions and misinformation about rape and sexual assault. Every 2 minutes, someone in America is sexually assaulted, and approximately 1 in 6 women are raped during their lifetime, and unfortunately, youth under 18 years of age account for about 44% of all reported assaults. We do believe that with proper education, there is really compelling evidence that we can be successful in reducing the incidence of this alarming and psychologically damaging crime. But all the more reason to have awareness about it, and so we appreciate your consideration of this proclamation. I do have a representative from Stand Up Placer, Louise Jobeck, who would be interested in saying a few words.
Please, thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of Stand Up Placer and the 391 sexual assault victims that we served last year, survivors who ranged in age from children to senior citizens and represented all genders, I would like to offer my sincere thanks to the Board of Supervisors, to all the county departments, including Health and Human Services, Adult System of Care, Child System of Care, Placer County Sheriff's Office, and the many, many Placer County staff who help us to assist our survivors in regaining their lives. Thank you so much for taking this problem seriously and for recognizing our agency for this work.
Thank you. I'm going to read this proclamation, and then I'll come down and we'll get a photo. In the matter of a proclamation recognizing April 2017 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month and April 26, 2017 as Denim Day in Placer County, whereas Sexual Assault Awareness Month and Denim Day were instituted to call attention to the fact that the crimes of rape and sexual assault violates an individual's dignity, privacy, security, and humanity, and that widespread misconceptions about this alarming and psychologically damaging crime can cause victims and survivors to be re-victimized, and whereas every 2 minutes someone in America is sexually assaulted, approximately 1 in 5 women and 1 in 33 men are sexually assaulted during their lifetime. Youths under 18 account for 44% of all reported sexual assaults, although only 12% of child sexual abuse is reported to authorities. And whereas Stand Up Placer is the Rape Crisis Center resource for Placer County and provided approximately 6,500 services to 391 sexual assault victims in 2016, and whereas survivors receive compassion, medical and legal options and services, emotional support, and community resources to heal from the trauma they have experienced, and perpetrators are punished to the full extent of the law, and whereas strong partnerships between local programs, state coalitions, national organizations, local law enforcement agencies, criminal and juvenile justice agencies, and victim services providers support assistance for survivors and prevention programs to reduce incidents of rape and sexual assault and increase incidents of bystander intervention, and whereas we strongly support the efforts of Stand Up Placer to provide needed resources to victims and to educate the community about the true impact of rape and sexual assault, and encourage survivors to seek help and access resources by calling Stand Up Placer's 24-hour crisis hotline at 1-800-575-5352. I'm going to say that again for anyone who's listening. 1-800-575-5352. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the above proclamation was duly passed by the Board of Supervisors of the County of Placer on behalf of the citizens of Placer County at a regular meeting held April 24, 2017, proclaiming the month of April 2017 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and designates April 26, 2017 as Denim Day and urges everyone to wear jeans on April 26 to help communicate the message that there is no excuse and never an invitation to rape. Thank you. Any other comments you guys would like to make? Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Any comments from any member of the board on this one? I would just like to add that Stand at Placer has been an incredible partner for all of us here at Placer County. Supervisor Holmes and I have both participated, I think much to our embarrassment, in the Dancing with the Stars program in support of Stand Up Placer, and I hope to see some of the other 3 supervisors participating in years to come. Just a little bit of peer pressure. Thank you very much. Glasses, I left them down by Kirk. Okay, we will now move to our 9:40 timed item. This is a proclamation for the Big Day of Giving in Placer County. We're being asked to approve a proclamation recognizing May 4, 2017 as the Big Day of Giving. I thought we were going to be seeing Jeff Darlington here today, and Oh, come on forward. Anyone else from any other nonprofits here today who are going to be participating in the Big Day of Giving? Please come forward because you are all being honored with this proclamation. And I'm accepting some of the honor on behalf of the Auburn Symphony as well, so thank you. All right. I'm going to start with the proclamation, and then we'll have a few comments, if we would. In the matter of a proclamation recognizing May 4, 2017 as the Big Day of Giving, otherwise known as the Big Dog, in the county of Placer, whereas on May 4, 2017, communities across the United States are participating in a Give Local America event in which community foundations encourage charitable giving in their regions, and whereas the Sacramento Region Community Foundation, a trusted resource for contributing to local and regional organizations, will host the 4th annual Big Day of Giving on May 4, 2017, in partnership with local and regional businesses and community leaders. And whereas 600 nonprofits throughout the 4-county Sacramento region will participate in the Big Day of Giving, over 100 of which are located in Placer County, serving county residents. And whereas the Big Day of Giving is an opportunity for Placer County residents to show their community pride through supporting the good work of our local nonprofits, and whereas philanthropic investment helps hardworking nonprofits make an impact on the causes that affect us all and provides donors with a sense of ownership and pride in their community, now therefore be it proclaimed that in the above proclamation was duly passed by the Board of Supervisors of the County of Placer on behalf of the citizens of Placer County at a regular meeting held April 24, 2017, proclaiming May 4, 2017 as the Big Day of Giving, and encourages all citizens to support the work of local nonprofit organizations who help Placer County's communities survive. Thank you all. Now, if you could give us a few words, and then if each of you could just very briefly tell us what nonprofit you're here representing, that would be fantastic.
Sure, I will be brief because this is all about nonprofits. I am Linda Cutler, the CEO of the Sacramento Region Community Foundation, and I'm just here to acknowledge and thank the support of Placer County and the leadership, as well as all the nonprofits you mentioned. Over 100 nonprofits are participating this year, and Placer nonprofits have always done extremely well in the Big Day of Giving. Their marketing is terrific, their networking is terrific, and certainly the work they do speaks for itself. So as the organizers, we are very proud to be presenting the next upcoming Big Day of Giving, and we think it's going to be huge. last 4 years, the Big Day of Giving has raised over $16 million for nonprofits in the region, 4-county region, and we expect it to a big addition to that total on May 4th. So thank you, and as we've been saying for many months now, may the 4th be with you.
Thank you. You'd introduce yourselves, please?
Yeah, my name's Kara Walker. I'm with the Placer Land Trust.
Joanne Valentine, Albany. Oh my
Ooh,
God, I
sure,
moved.
Joanne.
Auburn Symphony. I'd like to thank the Big Day of Giving for 2 reasons. First of all, it allows people to show their generosity, and that is a wonderful thing. And also, the publicity that it gives these nonprofits is immeasurable. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I'm Lynn Hartford, and I represent the Forever Friends, a cat sanctuary here in Auburn.
There's more of you. Come on.
My name is Garth Brooks, and I'm with Stand Up Placer.
Hello, my name is Adrian Acosta, and I'm with Stand Up Placer.
Hi, Louise Chopek, also with Stand Up Placer. Thank you, Big Day of Giving and Sacramento Region Community Foundation.
You're welcome. I love it.
Shauna Larson, Chairman of the Board, Placer Arts.
Terrific. And this is just a small subsection of the nonprofits in Placer County. It's everything from literacy to safety to animal support to music and performing arts and representational arts as well. And so I really want to thank you, and I really want to thank the Sacramento Community Foundation for stepping into the breach, because we absolutely want to continue with the Big Day of Giving. I will be in Washington, D.C., but I will also be on my computer giving, so I appreciate your efforts. I understand that this year you can actually sign up ahead of time to be a donor, so if for some reason anyone is unable to give on the Big Day of Giving, there is no excuse. You can give ahead of time, and frankly, you can give afterwards as well. So give often, give deeply, and give to the nonprofits, plural, of your choice. Supervisor Holmes, did you have anything to add?
Yes, I just wanted to mention a few other that I'm involved with. Salvation Army is one, the Gathering Inn, the Pneumatic Homeless Shelter, and then another organization that I've been beginning to get involved in is the Forgotten Soldiers Program, which is very, very important for those veterans that are coming back with traumatic injuries. So those are 3, but you're all worthy, and I probably run into some of you at one time or another in different outings. So thank you for all you do.
Garth, you have to stand at the back because you're the
I always stand at the back.
Joanne, you have to be at the front. No. Oh, yes. Let's see. Are we going to be able to? Okay. We all turn in.
There we go. All right, 1, 2, and 3.
Got it? All right. And who gets to take this home? The wonderful prize. How about Shauna? Yeah. Okay. All right. You can fight over it in the lobby.
We can take her.
Okay. It being past 9:50, we are going to move to our 9:50 timed item. This is a Public Works and Facilities item. We're being asked to conduct a public hearing to approve the engineering and traffic survey on various county roadways and adopt an ordinance amending Chapter 10, Article 10.4 of the Placer County Code pertaining to speed limits. Phil Vasian is presenting. That's a word that I just had difficulty saying today. Welcome, Phil.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, board members, and we're grateful to be here today with you. I also have Stephanie Holloway with me from Department of Public Works and Facilities, and the new commander of the Auburn CHP office, Captain John Price. We're pleased to have him with us here today, and we're pleased to have his support in this matter. As Madam Chair said, we're here to approve an engineering and traffic survey to adopt an ordinance and to amend Chapter 10, Section or Article 10.04 of the Placer County Code. A little bit of history behind this. We conduct these surveys on a regular basis, and the speed limits are set taking a representative sample of speed data. We plot those points on a graph, and that graph tends to be a bell curve, and we take the 85th percentile speed, round that to the nearest 5 mile per hour increment. Now, there are two reasons why these speed limits can't be set arbitrarily low. And number one, a majority of drivers would be violators. If radar is used on a road that is not supported by an engineering and traffic survey, then that is a speed trap, and that is illegal under the vehicle code. And the second reason is that respect of the public would be lost. There is this misconception that speed limit signs will lower the speed limits of drivers. In our experience, though, they drive according to the geometry of the road and the physical conditions of the road as well. Now, since the last time we did these particular round of roadways, there's been a slight change in methodology from the last time we did these. You used to be able to take a 5 mile per hour reduction from the rounded 85th percentile speed due to several different reasons, such as narrowness of the roadway, lack of shoulder width, poles adjacent to the roadway, high collision rate, sight distance, bicycle traffic. We can no longer do this. These are physical characteristics of the road that are readily apparent to the driver. Now we can only really use high collision rate, and street sight distance is limited. Those are aspects of the roadway that are not readily apparent to the driver. So we have met with the CHP, and we have also met with the local traffic courts, and they are supportive of what we are doing, and we have also informed the MAX as well. Of the 29 roadway study, which encompass 66 segments, 23 segments are going up, 5 are going down, and the rest remain unchanged. So we are here today again to get your approval, and I can take any questions that you may have.
Any questions from any member of the board? Supervisor Holmes.
Thanks, Phil, for bringing this forward. Great report. I just have questions on 2 roadways that I travel every day, more than once. From Atwood Road to Richardson Drive, it's going to be increased to 45 miles per hour. But there's a lot of private driveways that come off of that trying to get onto Atwood Road, and some of them are kind of different angles. So I'd rather see that reduced to 40 unless there's any compelling reason not to do that.
I think it might be useful to have Captain Price come forward at this point and explain the role of the CHP in speed enforcement as relates to the proposed speed limits. Welcome, Captain Price.
Thank you, and good morning. As Phil indicated, we've been involved in this since I first walked through the door about 6 months ago, and with the changes and so forth, it was important. One of the things I had asked them to do was to capture the speeds of traffic utilizing one source, so there was consistency throughout that process. As he indicated, the law is quite clear on this matter in terms of, you think of a speed trap as times on the road and doing enforcement in that manner. There's another definition of a speed trap, which is what he indicates. If you're not following the rules that they follow in terms of gathering the data and collecting that, when an officer goes to testify, it needs to be based upon the engineering that they've provided. So, while certain roadways people may want to see certain things, if that was left as the rule for dictating what speed limits were, it puts us in a very bad position. And there have been cases where we've actually been deemed incompetent in court to testify on those speed surveys. So it's, to be quite frank, it's a matter of whatever the engineering tells us in those locations. They do have the ability then, based upon sight distances when you talk about driveways, to reduce it down 5% from where they are, but no further.
Okay.
So, and you can speak specifically to that roadway.
Yeah, it's like Captain John Price said, we do have the ability to take 5 mile per hour reduction for like a high collision rate or side street sight distance that may be limited. In the case of the driveways on Atwood Road, we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that sight distance is obtainable out there for the roadways.
Okay, good.
And is there, has there been a history of, or a high rate of collision in that area or any of the other roads that are proposed for these increases in speed?
You know, most of the roadways that we have looked at for this round, I think there was maybe only 3 or 4 roadways that had a high collision rate, and that's about it. I don't believe Atwood Road has a high collision rate.
And the roadways that did have a high collision rate, are those the roadways where we're seeing speed limits go down?
Those are the roadways where we are taking a 5 mile per hour reduction, yes.
Okay. All right. And then, Captain Price, just for my clarity, if we were to take that 5 mile an hour reduction, CHP would still be able to do enforcement on that road. Is that correct?
Correct. As long as we have the justification, either the sight distance or a collision picture that supports that information, that's something an officer is comfortable going into court and testifying on.
Okay. So Supervisor Holmes, I would suggest that if you end up making the motion on this, you make a motion that we specifically ask for the 5 mile per hour reduction on that segment.
All right.
Okay.
And then I have one more road.
Right.
Mount Vernon Road from Bald Hill to Auburn city limits is 45 miles per hour. And I drive that every day. I don't have a problem with that. I've had some people contact me about their concern about that. Particularly as you go into Auburn, there's some windy curves, but if you look at the signs, it tells you to reduce your speed to 35 or 25 miles an hour. So I don't have any problem with that. So those are the only comments I have. Thank you.
And on the Mount Vernon Bald Hill, there was a suggestion that might benefit from a throughway stop. I think I can say that neither Supervisor Holmes nor I believe that would be appropriate for a throughway stop. There was discussion at the North Auburn Municipal Advisory Council that we actually do some work along the roadway in the right-of-way. There's an embankment when you're coming Bald Hill and trying to make the right-hand turn where you can't really see down the road. So we would love to see some road work done on that embankment to increase the sightline distance. Captain Price, anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Thank you so much for coming today, Captain Price. We appreciate it very much. Okay, so this is a public hearing. I'm going to open this to the hearing, to the public. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to make a comment on this item? This is a public hearing. This is your opportunity to weigh in on any of these increases, decreases, or roads remaining the same. Okay, I see none here in Auburn. I see no one in Tahoe City. I'm going to close the public hearing. Supervisor Duran.
Yeah, I have a question for legal counsel. Jerry, what liability is implemented if the Board of Supervisors decides to choose a speed that is different from what is recommended by our traffic engineers? Is there any personal liability on the Board of Supervisors for that?
Not personal liability. It'll just prevent the enforcement agency from using radar in the enforcement of that speed limit.
Okay.
But it's no liability on the county for lowering
Okay.
the speed limit.
All right. Thank you.
Supervisor Holmes.
Well, all my questions have been answered to my satisfaction, so I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the requested action with no changes.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Excellent. Motion carries. Thank you very much, Captain Price. Thank you, Phil. All right, we're going to move to our 10 o'clock timed item. This is a Health and Human Services item. The Placer County Youth Commission, we're having a presentation on the Stephanie Bellotti Teen Driving Fund. Twyla Abramson is presenting, and I believe Supervisor Holmes will be making some comments at a minimum on this. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Montgomery, Board of Supervisors, Mr. Carden, Mr. Bosch. I am actually here in a very short capacity because I have the pleasure of introducing you to one of your Placer County Youth Commissioners, Graham Johnson, who is actually going to be introducing our presenter. So I'm going to turn it over to him at this time.
Thank you, Twyla.
Good morning, Supervisors. My name is Graham Johnson, and I am a commissioner in the Placer County Youth Commission, and I am here today to introduce the Stephanie Bellotti Teen Fund. A few months ago, I was able to go to Sierra College, where they were holding their driving event. While I was there, I was able to interview a few instructors, parents, and students that were all there, and they all had very positive things to say about it. Most of them said, the students all said that it was very interesting, that they were glad they learned it, that it would be something that they would be able to use if they ever got into trouble on the streets. And all the parents said that if there was something like this when they were teenagers, they definitely would have done it, and they are very happy that their children are in it. After interviewing the instructors, I was able to gain a newfound appreciation for them and how they help teenagers like me, who are either just getting their permit, just getting their license, or this is their first time driving. They give them the confidence to allow them to know that if they were ever to spin out or if they lost control of the car, they would be able to gain control of it again. While I was there, I also noticed that it was very well run. It was a great experience for me. They had a police officer there that was able to answer some of the questions that any parents, any students had. And it was a very hands-on experience. The instructors are in the cars with them, and I believe it was I would say it was almost fun to be there. It was a very exciting experience, and I believe that it is very important that what they're doing, because these kids are 15 and a half all the way up to 18. Kids are just learning how to drive, and they can be cocky sometimes, and they think they know what they're doing. They think that they're the best drivers in the world, and they go too fast and their car spins out, and the worst can happen. So without any further ado, I introduce Mr. Dave Albright and Eileen Bellotti of the Stephanie Bellotti Teen Fund. Thank you.
Graham, before you leave, I want to make a comment. You are an example of the importance of the Placer County Youth Commission. It's given you a purpose to go out and look at community events. And by just coming up here and speaking to this board very eloquently, it really gives me a great joy to see you succeed. And I'm glad that the Placer County Youth Commission has been able to give you that opportunity. So
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Graham. And before everyone leaves on this, I want to make sure that you guys make contact with Captain Price from CHP. He's relatively new as our commander here, and I think it would be great if you all could be able to make contact and talk about specifically what this program is, and maybe he could come down and observe. Sorry, I'm just stirring the pot. Thank you. Please.
Good morning. I hope I speak as well as Brandon does. My name's Dave Albright. And I wanted to start by saying thank you to the Placer County Youth Commission for giving us this opportunity to speak to you folks today. I'd like to introduce the Stephanie Bellotti Teen Fund and request your assistance in establishing a permanent place for us to hold our classes. In short, we help teenagers learn driving skills through our free teen driving clinics. We partner with the Sports Car Club of America, the Sacramento chapter, and together we've designed and deliver a safe and efficient one-day course that helps teens avoid accidents and properly react to emergency situations or unforeseen driving situations. We currently hold our classes at the Sierra College parking lot, but it can only be used on occasion when we get the opportunity, and it's usually once, maybe twice a year. For a little bit of background on our organization, I'd like to introduce Eileen Bellotti. She and her husband started this nonprofit program several years ago.
Good morning. I'm here today because I believe our program is saving lives. After losing our only child to an inexperienced teenage driving accident, my husband and I had to deal with our loss and then decide how we wanted to live the rest of our lives. We've chosen to help parents of teenagers ensure that their children have a better chance of surviving those first years of driving. Over the last 10 years, the Stephanie Bellotti Teen Fund has helped over 400 new drivers gain skills that make them much safer. We would like to help as many as we possibly can. We think the Board of Supervisors can help us save lives by allowing access to a site with necessary requirements to safely accomplish this training. Dave has more information about the physical part of our program, and it's an ever-evolving program. The Sports Car Club of America provides us all of our instructors, and we keep refining. We keep working to make this the best program possible. And just like Graham was talking about, we try to make it an enjoyable experience for both parents and teens. We have a considerable number of parents that come in the morning to get their kids signed in with no plans of staying for the day, and then they end up doing that. They stay, they watch, they cheer. It's a good program, and we need your help. Thank you. Dave is going to tell you the rest.
Thank you.
So, in partnering with the Sports Car Club of America, both the Bellotti Foundation and SCCA have identified 4 main areas of issues for teen drivers: ABS braking, traction control, lane changes, emergency lane changes, and avoidance driving. The exercises that we put the students through, they'll go through with an instructor in the course. So first what they do is the instructor sits in the car, or actually drives their car, so they bring their own car to the event. The instructor drives their car, runs them through the course once, kind of explains to them what they're going to be doing. Then they switch positions. The teen drives the car with the instructor in the car, and they get the opportunity to go through it themselves, getting immediate feedback from the instructor, which is key. They get to run through the course usually about 3 times. On occasion, there's a teen that has an issue with whatever they're doing. They're either not enough confidence, or they're not getting it for some reason. These instructors will continually work with them and let them go through it until they're comfortable with what they're doing. The SCCA instructors are, if you're not familiar with the Sports Car Club of America, these are top-notch drivers in the United States. The SCCA program is nationwide. Almost every racing individual that you've ever heard of learned to drive through Sports Car Club of America or a Sports Car Club of America sanctioned program. So these guys have hundreds of hours of not only driving at speed and doing these types of things safely, but also instructing other drivers how to do this. And one of the reasons that we've partnered with the SCCA is that they really have bought into our program. And they're so wonderful to work with, because we do, like Elaine was saying, it's a growing program. And it has the opportunity, so if we see some areas that need some adjustment and whatnot, we can make those changes. And again, everybody that does this is a volunteer. So that makes it easier for us. We do offer these programs free to the students. Our only real cost is usually the cost of the site and insurance, and we give them a free lunch to boot. We also feed the parents. So the program that they've put together is designed for retention, designed so that the students, when they come out of it, not only do they have a little bit more experience so that they're not facing some of these issues for the very first time in a problematic situation on the road, but they also have the confidence and hopefully the knowledge to stay out of those situations. That's the big one. So hopefully they understand what's going on, but if they do find themselves in there, they don't just panic. That's where some of the big problems happen in the middle of an intersection. All of a sudden somebody panics and things go wrong. One of our purposes today is to both make you aware of our program and also ask you to help us in identifying alternative locations. We have specific requirements, including availability, presence of good pavement without trees, light poles, gutters, curbs, or anything else somebody could run into. To date, we've been using the Sierra College parking lot that's designed for the motorcycle training. Works very well. But that program is not regularly available because of the motorcycle program. So we're at their mercy. And like I said before, we only get the opportunity to use it maybe once or twice a year, twice at the most. Ideally, we would like to put on a course 4 times a year. We run about 25 kids through the course each day, 2 days on a weekend. So we can run roughly 40 to 50 kids through on a weekend. We'd like to do this 4 times a year because we're always booked out. We have a waiting list for each one of these events, as you can imagine, especially with the fact that they're free. And we'd like to keep them in the Placer County area, at least something local where people could drive to. So we need an appropriate place to hold our classes. One of the things that has sort of come to our attention, and I don't know, maybe you could help us with this, we've heard that the Placer County Fairgrounds in Roseville is possibly, they've received a grant possibly for upgrading some of their locations. We're hoping that maybe one of those is one of the parking lots. And if that's true, we would certainly love to have the opportunity to chat with folks and maybe give some input how, just with a slight redesign, that parking lot could be used for our situations as well. Like I said, we carry ample insurance that most of the communities, in fact, all of the communities in California, we carry more than they require. So in any case, again, I'd like to thank you very much for taking the time to listening to us. And I'd really like to thank the Placer County Youth Commission for giving us the opportunity to come up here and talk to you. And we certainly look forward to working with them in promoting safe teen driving programs in the future.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
Thank you. Looks like we have a few questions or comments from the board. I'll start with Supervisor Holmes.
Yes, I had the opportunity to visit one of the training at your invitation, by the way. So thank you. And it is very valuable on what the Sports Car Club does. I wish I could have gone through it. But I can see the limitations because you don't have enough places to do this. Certainly the Placer County Fairgrounds, not right away, but I think in the future would be a great location to do this when we get to that point. And I've been looking around everywhere I go. Gold Country Fairgrounds parking lot would be fine, but it's not paved, so that doesn't work. I checked with the Sheriff's Department, and they had a driver training for their deputies in Hewlett-Packard, but Hewlett-Packard has decided to... Correct. Yeah, and so that's out of it. But I haven't given up. If I keep my eye open for any type of place that would be suitable.
It's one of the reasons we brought up the fairgrounds, because it's not only us, but I know in talking to the safety services in the past that they're going to have problems with locations as well here shortly.
Well, we need to do it more, as many times as we can every year. Because,
we wholeheartly agree. So thank you.
All right.
Thank you for showing up.
You betcha.
Supervisor Duran.
Yeah, I was just going to suggest, and just to tear off of Super Holmes' comments, I know that Bill McAnally Racing and BMR Auto Care put on a similar type of event, and they actually use the Speedway out at the fairgrounds. My other suggestion would be to talk to some of the high schools and possibly use their parking lots, because they normally don't have a whole lot of things going on the weekends.
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay.
That's been one of our problems is...
Give me a call and I'll talk with the Roseville folks. I used to be on the board. I don't know if I can convince them to go with you, but I can certainly have a conversation.
Thank you.
So.
Supervisor Euler.
Yeah, I think the fairgrounds is a good idea. The pit area is paved, has a large area around that is paved already, and so you might take a look at that area out. It's what fronts right on Washington there. That area out there.
If you could come to the podium, so we
What
can't.
ideally we were looking at was the parking lot in the back off of Lawton is a large expanse where it could just be flat pavement. All of the areas suggested are probably good pavement, but they have gutters, curbs, intersecting. And if you give a teenager a chance, he's going to run into something. So that's what we're trying to teach them, how to use those brakes without them having an opportunity to need them. So, yeah, thank you. But that off of Lawton in the back of the park of the fairgrounds is a huge expanse with nothing in the way.
It is, but right now, that is a combination of paved, unpaved, and the part that's paved, you wouldn't really want to drive at any kind of speed over.
Right.
Well, that's where we're hoping in the future, if you guys upgrade it, you'll keep us in mind. And not put lights and trees in the middle of it.
I agree with that, but by the same token, that's why I was kind of trying to direct you out toward that pit area to do a walkthrough out there to see if the existing paved surface out there might somehow meet your needs.
Thank you.
I have had a few thoughts pop into my mind as we've been talking, so if you would give me a call at some point after this. I don't want to volunteer anyone's facility at this point in time, but I do have some ideas for you.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Great. All right, thank
Twyla, anything else on this? Excellent. Well, thank you very much. We very much appreciate the presentation, and hopefully we can find a facility that will be appropriate and safe.
Thank you for your time, and thank you also for Graham Johnson for doing such a great job of introducing you.
Yeah, terrific work, Graham. Thank you. All right. Okay, we are now going to move to our 10:15 timed item. This is a Health and Human Services item. This is the Animal Services Fee Schedule and a report on donations and an update on operations. This will also be a public hearing, so after the initial presentation, I will open this to the public.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Board. Wesley Nix, Director of Animal Services. This first item is simply a fee schedule amendment, mostly to more accurately represent the more broad selection of items that are available from our new retail store for people that might adopt a new animal. You can see in the photograph there during our holiday season kind of a picture of the retail store. We actually, pun on words there, called it Retails Store, which has been pretty popular. The existing fee schedule only lists a couple of items, leashes, cat carriers, representing what we could have in the old shelter. The amendment will change the schedule to more accurately describe the broad assortment of pet supplies that are now available at the store. A new owner could get, they could take their animal home with a kind of a complete care package that way. For example, leashes, food bowls, toys, small bags of dog food, basically everything they would need for a successful adoption. The other amendments to the fee schedule are simply updates to descriptions of the fees that better reflect what the fees represent without really changing any of the fees themselves, with the exception of the large livestock fee. Occasionally, we rescue an animal, such as a horse, that no one claims, so we put them up for adoption like we would any other animal. And the current fee schedule lists this as a sealed bid, which is sort of an awkward process that is pretty time-consuming, and we've had some unfavorable results attempting to do sealed bids. People are kind of suspicious of it. It's not out in the open. They want to know, if we pick somebody rather than, was their bid really the highest? We've also had some really low bids before that don't even come close to representing cost recovery. So we recommend that the fee schedule be amended to list a fee of $273, which represents the minimum cost the county would incur to pick up the animal, perform a wellness check on the animal, and then have it housed for about 5 days, which, if all goes well, would be about the amount of time that it would take for us to find a new home for the animal, a new adopter. So the fee of $273 would be straightforward and to the first person who wishes to adopt, and it would guarantee cost recovery for the county for that minimum impact. So I'd be happy to answer any questions regarding the fee amendments.
Any questions on the fee amendment? Okay, I see none.
Okay, the second item this morning is to report a very generous donation to the Animal Services Division. In December 2016, the estate of Madeline Huff donated $50,000 to supplement caring for animals in Placer County. Madeline was well known for her love of animals and her generous nature, obviously. And with the approval of her family, including an interview with her sister, we published an article in December to celebrate Madeline and her love for animals and her generosity. The funds were deposited in the Placer County Animal Services Trust Fund, authorized by the board in 1990, which also authorized Animal Services to receive the donations to the trust account. State law requires reports to the board of donations exceeding $10,000 and the Madeline Huff donation certainly and generously exceeded that amount. So this was the official report of that donation. Any questions about?
That's very exciting. I don't see any questions from the board, but this is a public hearing since we are addressing the fees. Right. So I'm going to open the public hearing and see if there are any members of the public who would like to comment on the item relating to fees or comment on the generous donation. I see none here in Auburn. I see no one in Tahoe City. So I am going to close the public hearing and bring this back to the board. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great work. Thank you, Wes.
Thank you. We had one other item this morning, which is to provide an update to operations and to introduce you to our new program manager for the Animal Services Division. She came to Placer County from Orange County, where she worked with the PIO's office and as a volunteer coordinator and community outreach specialist for several years. And then most recently, she served as the assistant director for Orange County Animal Services. She joined us just after we moved into our new facility. Good timing there. And she's really done an excellent job of getting us up to speed and full capacity of our new facility. So we're here to provide a brief report on the first 6 months of operations at the new facility. I'd like to introduce to you our new program manager, Katie Ingram.
Welcome, Katie.
Thank you so much for having me, and I just wanted to express how excited I am to be a part of Placer County. My passion and commitment to animals, like Wes said, stretches back 10 years with Orange County Animal Care, but I actually started in high school volunteering at the Sacramento SPCA, and that's really where I decided that working for a municipal animal shelter was the right fit for me. I'm committed with Placer County Animal Services to do several things. First of all, provide humane and compassionate care to our animals, reunite lost pets with their owners, and then ultimately adopt them if we aren't able to make that reconnection with their original owner. We're also about public safety as well. I wanted to talk a little bit about what we've been doing for the first 6 months. It's been incredibly exciting over there. We've had a great opportunity to showcase what we can do for the animals in our community. And so I'll just walk through some of the things that the new facility supports and then also some of the successes that we've seen. So there's some photos here of the new facility. Obviously, it's a state-of-the-art facility with enhanced areas that promote animals for adoption and market them better and then provide a good experience for them while they're in our care. Also a good experience for the customers as well. Some of the items, and I think the next slide will come up at some point, will showcase them, but I'll start talking about them. So some of the things that our shelter does, it provides enhanced animal programs that we can offer now for our community and for our animals. So we've got multiple dog exercise yards now. What that allows us to do is provide daily stimulation, physical, mental stimulation to our dogs through volunteers and staff with play groups, also one-on-one interaction. We have meet and greet rooms for the public so they can really sit down and bond with an animal in a quiet and low-stress environment. We have behavior modification programs, so animals that might be coming into the shelter and be stressed out or displaying a behavior that might not be adoptable at first, we can then work with them with trained volunteers and staff and spend some time to really make them adoptable. We've had some incredible successes with that program. We also have a new program called Rodent Patrol, which is our barn cat program. It's up there on the screen, and that's a partnership with one of our local cat rescue groups. And basically what that is an opportunity for feral cats to find a place in the community after they're altered to go out and control rodent populations at barns, warehouses, garages, anybody who's willing to open up their home for them. It's a dramatic way to decrease euthanasia of feral cats in shelters, and it also provides a service to the community that's an easy way to control rodents. So those are some kind of exciting things. A couple of other things that we've done, implement social media channels. So we have our Facebook page. It now has over 1,000 followers with about a 9,000 person reach currently. And we also just launched our Instagram account. So we've got several followers there, and it definitely lends itself to an animal shelter because it's all about visuals, photos, and really cute snapshots of our animals and what we do. And then something else that we did recently with our new facility that was very unique for us is when we had the Oroville Dam evacuation, we were able to actually use our new facility to support Yuba County Animal Shelter and several of the evacuees to house all of those dogs, which is 48 dogs and 5 cats, at our new facility versus having to set up a separate shop at the fairgrounds. So that saved us a tremendous amount of resources and provided a really great environment for those animals to be cared for. And we had them for about 4 days. And then we kept, I think, about 5 of the Yuba County animals and put them up for adoption at our shelter. So we were able to support that shelter in that way as well. Some other things that we've had, definitely an increased opportunity to engage our community. People are excited about coming to our new shelter. And so we have lots of schools reaching out to us, community groups, and we're also reaching out to them. And since we've opened, we've brought in about 25 community groups, anywhere from, I think this is a Daisy troop that came in, up to adult groups that are looking to provide blankets and toys and supplies for our shelter. And so they've been coming in, taking tours, learning about what we do, and then we've also done some community service projects with them at the same time. We've got several of those lined up, and I imagine that program is going to continue to grow as we continue to grow at the new shelter. A couple of other things that these next slides are going to show. The biggest impact of the new facility and our staff's commitment to animals there is our adoption numbers. They're dramatically increasing. So this slide represents an overall increase in dog and cat adoptions, 78% versus the same time period last year. So nearly double, which we knew it was happening. We were busier, people were coming in, animals were moving through quickly. But to us, this reinforced what we're there to do every day to help promote those animals for adoption. And it's all about the new facility. It's beautiful, it's bright, the animals have large cages, they can showcase their personalities, they're not stressed out, and all of those things allow people to connect in a different way and see that animal in a new way and potentially see it in their home. The next couple of slides just break down not overall, but specific species. So the most dramatic increase, cats. Cat adoptions have almost doubled. They're 90% up from same time period last year. That's huge for a shelter. Animal shelters historically have challenges adopting cats. People are very well aware of dogs in shelters, but cats can be tricky. So to see a nearly double of adoptions for cats was pretty exciting, and then the trend continues. And then dogs are up 69%, and we've adopted a lot of long-term dogs, so ones that have been with us for 5 or 6 months in the new facility, and with staff and volunteers engaging people in a different way. They're moving through much quicker too, and we can all celebrate that as well together. So that's where we are 6 months in. It's been exciting. We're looking forward to continuing on that positive trend and then developing and creating new programs that are going to support our shelter and our community at the same time.
That's really exciting news. I mean, we on both ends of the county have made some significant upgrades to our animal services, whether it's the shelter or just the services, in fact, that we provide. But I will just say this is everything I hoped it would be. And I will tell you that I've been in a couple of times, and as someone who is very allergic to cats and an allergy sufferer, I'm delighted that I can go into our shelter now, because our old facility I really could not be in for more than about a minute or two at a time. And now it's just great to know that maybe other people like myself who are allergic to cats but are interested in a dog or a horse or a llama might be able to go in and have those appropriate interactions and not feel like we can't go in because of concerns around health. So fantastic update. Thank you so much, and welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Delighted
Nice
to have you here. Any other questions or comments from any member of the board? Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments on this update? All right, seeing none, thank you so much, and let's just keep up the great work, because this is phenomenal news. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we are going to move to our 10:30 timed item. This is a county executive report. This is an Internal Revenue Code Section 115 irrevocable trust item. And who is presenting? Andy Sisk and Jonathan Schmidt. Welcome.
Thank you.
I see Jonathan.
Wait for the rest of my team to
and Andy's coming.
get settled.
Welcome.
Okay. Good morning, Madam Chairwoman, members of the board. My name is Jonathan Schmidt. I'm from the County Executive Office. Joining back with me is Andy Sisk, our Auditor Controller, and to my left are Mitch Barker and Mike Graves, both of Public Agency Retirement Services. So with today's presentation, I'll be covering 3 topics. First, I want to discuss the current funding status per the most recent actuarials for our post-employment liabilities, OPEB and CalPERS. I will note that we'll be focusing primarily on CalPERS. And then topic number 2, I want to discuss the estimated impact from the action that CalPERS Board of Administration took back in December to lower the discount rate assumption. And then finally, I want to talk about the Internal Revenue Code Section 115 Irrevocable Trust. I want to cover what it is, how the county can benefit from this trust, and then finally, how the county would plan to use this trust should your board approve this today. And we'll be asking your board to take 3 actions today. First, I would like to pause real quick. You should have received late Friday a updated resolution for item number 1. So we are asking your board to approve that as a resolution rather than to authorize as just a simple authorization. And then item number 2 and 3 are contingent on item number 1. Should your board approve to establish this trust, we would ask your board to adopt a resolution updating the pension funding policy, which is mostly centered around language that discusses administration of this trust. And then number 3 would be a resolution to appropriate $2.9 million that is currently in the general fund reserve for post-employment obligations. We would like to take that money and move it to this trust. All right, so to briefly discuss our current funding status, and again, this is as of our most recent actuarials. OPEB sits at 77.8%. We are moving towards 80%, which is where we were supposed to be per the last actuarial. And then CalPERS safety and miscellaneous funds. The safety fund sits just under at 65.6%, and the miscellaneous fund sits at 67.8%. And when you combine those two, which you'll see on the next slide, the miscellaneous plan holds the weight of those two. So in total, CalPERS is about 67%. And then the graphic below, the main thing I want to point out are the last 2 columns. And this is the annual contribution as a percentage of payroll. So you can see OPEB is in 16-17 at 15%, but in 17-18 we're actually moving down to 13%. And a lot of that is due to action your board has taken to really focus on drawing down our unfunded liability. So as we make progress, that percentage will hopefully continue to go lower. And then with CalPERS, we continue to pay off our annual required contribution. So as you can see, safety jumps up a little bit in 17-18, as does miscellaneous from 24.2 to 25.1%. Okay, so the impact of the lower discount rate. So on December 21st, CalPERS Board of Administration voted to lower the discount rate assumption from 7.5% to 7%, which will increase contributions for agencies all throughout California. They are going to be phasing this change over the course of 3 years for public agencies starting in fiscal year 18-19, but they'll also be smoothing it over 5 years. So in total, we will feel the full impact of this change from fiscal years 18-19 out to 24-25, so a total of 7 years. Also in January, CalPERS issued guidance for agencies to begin estimating the impact of this discount rate, which we'll look at on the next slide. CalPERS will provide an official forecast in their next actuarial, which is due out in August. All right, so I apologize if this is a little difficult to see, but this is the analysis that that we put together based on the guidance that CalPERS issued back in January. Where I really want to focus your attention is on the impact, both low and high. So the reason for this range is that when they provided this guidance, they did it to cover all 3,000 agencies that they support. However, based on some webinars that I attended and our funding status, I believe that we will fall somewhere in the range between 100 million and 119 million. So that impact is the cumulative total across 7 years. And then finally, what I think is a little bit even more alarming are the last two items on there. So you can see this is also that contribution percentage of payroll. And you can see where we are today at 26.27% when you combine both the miscellaneous and safety plan. And when you go out to 24-25, we are jumping up to about 42% to 46.5%, somewhere in that range. So that's a big jump in 7 years that we're going to have to find a way to fund in the next few years. All right, so some of the options that other agencies are looking into, I did want to bring this to the table for you guys. Obviously, we're not asking the board to take these kind of actions today, but these could be things that you are faced with in the next few years, or some decisions that staff may bring to your attention. The first thing, and we've done a lot of these things in OPEB already, is ad hoc discretionary payments. This would be, the board or staff identifies $2 or $3 million every year that we may want to just throw at the fund and tackle unfunded liabilities. We've done a lot of that in OPEB, and we're starting to see the payoff. The next is also something we've done with the OPEB, and that is to shorten the amortization period. As you recall, your board, I believe in 2014-15, took action to reduce the amortization period from, I believe, 22 years to 15 years. And again, we're in the position we are today with unfunded liabilities because of those actions. So then some agencies believe that CalPERS didn't go far enough at 7%, and they're actually working with their actuaries at CalPERS right now to see, what would it be if we actually took it down to 6.5% and began funding to that rate. And then a lot of agencies, as Mitch and Mike will tell you, are signing up for the 115 irrevocable trust that we'll talk about here in just a moment. They see a lot of benefit in that option. And then agencies are also looking at building additional payments into their budget, borrowing internally, and then finally, instead of implementing the rate changes across 7 years, they're looking at, hey, can we accelerate this rate and draw down our unfunded liabilities even earlier? Okay, so the Section 115 irrevocable trust. So prior to PARS receiving a private letter ruling from the IRS, there's really, if you had additional money that you wanted to put towards your pensions, there's really only one thing you could do, and that's just give it over to CalPERS. So with this trust and with that private letter ruling, there's another option. You can put it in this trust. You retain control. The county retains control of the trust, and we have a lot of flexibility in terms of our investment options and what we do with that money and when we do it. And we do have experience with this type of trust. Our CERBIT that we keep our OPEB is actually the same kind of trust. It just works a little bit differently. The income in this trust is tax exempt, and it can be used to pre-fund retirement contributions. It can also be used as a hedge against underperformance by the CalPERS fund. And another advantage is it could be used as a rainy day fund. Should there be an incident in the county where, say, we had to forego pension contributions, we could use that money out of the general fund to pay off whatever that incident was, and then make our contributions out of the trust. So we could use it as an emergency fund as well. Okay, benefits to the county. Again, I kind of talked a lot of these, but I'll just go through them again. We retain complete local control over the assets. So were we to give our money over to CalPERS, it's gone. It's out of our hands. With this trust, we retain full control. Again, the income that is derived from the trust is tax exempt, and we retain oversight over the fund management and investment strategy of those assets. We can also use, again, to hedge against pension rate increases, as well as underperformance by the fund. And should we retain, we also have fewer investment restrictions than we would were we to just keep money in the general fund, where right now we have $2.9 million. We also have potential for improvement to the county's credit rating. Andy has let me know that a lot of creditors will look favorable on this type of trust because it shows that we are working towards actively addressing our pension funding. We also have the opportunity for increased risk diversification than what CalPERS would have based on the additional options that we can invest in. And then finally, we have access to utilize the trust funds at any time. We have full discretion on how that money is utilized and when. Okay, Public Agency Retirement Services, PARS. They are the administrator of this trust that we've selected. There are actually two firms that we know of that have this private letter ruling. PARS was the first to receive it here in California back in 2015. And they have over 20 years of experience managing over 250 OPEB/pension trust funds, and now they are up to 72 pension funds, or pension trusts here in California. Is that right, Mitch? 72? 75. Okay, so, all right, so they've had some additional adoptions since the last update. They partner with U.S. Bank, who is the trustee of this fund, and Highmark Capital Management, which is the investment arm of U.S. Bank. They manage the portfolio. They offer in this trust 5 investment options and 1 custom option. And just to give you some context, they do have a tiered fee schedule. So for assets under $5 million, we'd be looking at approximately $26,500 in annual fees, roughly, with no minimum upfront costs. And in terms of performance, the 5 plans that they offer, the most conservative option is yielded 4% in annual returns over the course of the last 5 years. And the least conservative option has yielded 9.5% over that same annually over that same time frame, which is actually better than our CERBIT has performed. Okay, and finally, how the county plans to utilize the trust. So we've been working through the Finance Committee on this option. So really, there's 3 areas. First, for pre-funding. Of course, we looked at the slide of the impact on from the CalPERS lower discount rate. That's going to be a big impact, and a lot of departments we think will have difficulties in some instances adjusting to those increases. What we foresee is probably setting up a cap in this fund and using money to help reimburse some of these departments as these rates get phased in the upcoming years. The other area where I could foresee us using this is, again, as a hedge against underperformance by the pension fund. I believe CalPERS the last couple years was in the low single digits on their returns, well below the 7.5% that they're supposed to make. So in that scenario, should CalPERS not have a good year, we could use money from that trust to offset some of those shortfalls. And then finally, potentially as a rainy day fund, again, you guys have heard it, I've heard it as well, about a potential recession sometime in the next 5 years. Should that occur, we could run into a situation where maybe we need to use some money out of the general fund to pay for some issues, and we could use money to pay our contributions out of this fund, and hopefully alleviate big shortfalls. So that's all I had to present today. Again, I thank you for your time and your consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions your board may have.
Supervisor Euler.
Yeah, I think, first of all, it is really remarkable that we're sitting here as a board having this conversation to start with. Figure out how we can put additional money aside as we have been aggressively working to pay down our unfunded liability in OPEB over these years, and now we're taking the step to tackle the the pension obligation, the fact that we find ourselves in this position as other jurisdictions are just trying to figure out how to keep the doors open. So remarkable that we're here, and the credit goes in large part to our department heads and our staff for continuing here in Placer County to deliver a very high level of service while looking for ways to create efficiency. So we need to give credit where credit's due to the folks that actually make those budget decisions. So I want to acknowledge that first of all. Having been through this exercise of focusing on paying down the OPEB unfunded liability, the only concern that I have, as we know, we've realized I guess I should be asking this in the form of a question. Have we realized the benefit of the advance pay on the OPEB in any kind of reduction to what would otherwise be an escalation in our annual required contribution?
Yes, we have, and we actually will see that in the upcoming budget, where our ARC actually dropped, I think, approximately $4 million in this year's actuarial. So in the final budget, CEO staff will be looking at, since those are built into the base budgets already, they'll be looking at where to move that money. Last report that I had the last discussion I had with staff was to look at continuing to put some of that money into OPEB, because we want to stay aggressive on OPEB, and then repurpose some of that money for CalPERS.
Okay. And while I like the idea of building up a prudent reserve utilizing this tool, I would hope that we would put some kind of a cap on how big a reserve we would build, so that we can then begin directing the dollars that we're going in to build the reserve to paying down the existing unfunded liability, thereby driving down that ARC and freeing up those general fund dollars for us on the annual basis. So really like this idea, like that we have the flexibility in this tool to use the dollars in the ways that have been articulated, but just really like the fact that we're here even having the conversation.
Right. And your board's done a remarkable job over the years addressing these liabilities. Obviously, it's difficult when it's a moving target. I will say that as a finance committee, we will be looking at setting the appropriate cap, which I would anticipate we take to your board at a later date in the very near future.
Supervisor Duran.
Yeah, is the actual trust creation document in here?
There was a service agreement that is subject to approval by County Council and Risk Management. It was supposed to be in that packet.
Yeah, I'm actually looking for the trust instrument. I see a administrative services document and data requirements, but I don't see the actual trust instrument. If I could get a copy of that down the road, I'd appreciate that.
Okay, I'll make sure you get one.
Yeah, I have some familiarity having created trusts, and I'd like to take a look at that document.
Supervisor Holmes.
Yeah, Jonathan, thank you. Thank you for this detailed report, and I appreciate the time you spent with me twice going through this so I have a better understanding. And I'll follow up on Supervisor Euler's remarks. When we go out in the public and start talking about where we are with our pension and OPEB obligation, we have a good story to tell, and we've been very diligent about that. And I think this the PARS solution will give us better opportunity to increase that story and lower our obligations. So thank you for your hard work on this. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Jonathan, thank you so much for the time that you spent with me on this item as well. I like Supervisor Holmes, very much appreciate the down-to-earth discussion that we were able to have around this. I would say that Supervisor Euler asked most of the very specific questions I had around this. But I wanted to really say thank you, because I think it's important for not just us to recognize, because I think we do recognize it, but for the public and all our fellow employees here at Placer County to recognize that, yes, while we're seeing increases in property tax, though minimal, and while we're seeing increases in sales tax and some of those things, there are some significant cost drivers coming down the pike at us very quickly, and that unless we really start to get a handle on it now, come 2021-22, we are going to be in absolutely dire straits. I think this board is taking the actions to keep us out of those dire straits, and it's really because of the work that county staff has done, both in the CEO's office and certainly in the Auditor Controller's office. So many, many thanks for your just fantastic work on this and giving us a direction that we can comfortably move toward. Was there anything either of you wanted to present before I opened the public hearing? Okay, I'm going to open the public hearing. This is the opportunity for any member of the public to comment or ask questions on this item. Is there anyone who would like to make comments or ask questions around this? I see none here in Auburn. I see no one in Tahoe City, so I will close the public hearing and bring this back to the board. We're being asked to adopt a resolution approving an update to the pension funding policy. We're being asked to authorize the county executive officer to execute the attached service agreement, and we're being asked to adopt a resolution and approve a budget revision to cancel the committed reserve for post-retirement obligations and appropriate the full amount of $2,909,468 to provide initial funding for the IRC Section 115 Irrevocable Trust. What's the pleasure of the board?
I just wanted to add that second action to approve the program was to be done through this resolution that was presented to your board this morning, resolution approving the adoption of the Public Agencies Post-Employment Benefit Trust administered by PARS. Also, that since there's a budget revision, this is a roll call vote.
Yes, I was getting there. All right, we have a motion. Was there a second? Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. This is a roll call.
Holmes? Yes. Duran? Yes. Wygant? Yes. Euler? Montgomery?
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you all, gentlemen. Much appreciated. All right.
Congratulations on all the good work you're doing in Placer County. It's fabulous to watch the board in action here. Thank you.
Thanks, we'll take it. All right, we're going to move to our 10:40 timed item. This is a presentation and an annual update from the Tahoe City Downtown Association. Stacy Lyons and Jennifer Merchant presenting.
I'm just going to kick it off. So, Madam Chair, members of the board, Jennifer Merchant with the County Executive Office. The item before you today is a presentation. Will be provided by Stacy Lyons, who is the now former Executive Director of the Tahoe City Downtown Association. She has recently accepted, after 3 years of service to the Tahoe City business community, position with Sierra Nevada College in Incline Village. So we are very happy for her. This is kind of her last official act as the Downtown Association Executive Director, but we'll certainly miss her because she did provide a lot of support to the business community. This presentation is required per contract with the Tahoe City Downtown Association. Each of our 2 contracts with the downtown associations, both Tahoe City and North Tahoe, require annual reports on what the organization is providing for in the community related to business development, implementing the Main Street program, providing resources to the business community, including marketing and special events. So Stacy will roll through that and tell you about what they've been up to for the last year. We should have a contract before you sometime before the end of the year. I'm shooting for June 13th right now. So thank you very much for providing your support to the Tahoe City community and listening to the report.
Thank you, Jennifer. Welcome, Stacy, and congratulations on your new position.
Great. Thank you so much. It's kind of weird presenting. I was rehearsing with my boyfriend last night, and I said, Executive Director of the Tahoe City Downtown Association. He's like, you cannot say that anymore. Good morning, Chairwoman Montgomery, members of the board, and Placer County staff. My name is Stacy Lyons, and I'm proud to represent the Tahoe City Downtown Association for my final time to share organizational highlights in person, and thank you for your continued support of TCDA efforts to create a more vibrant and prosperous Tahoe City. Annually, the Tahoe City Downtown Association members elect a dedicated 11-person board of directors to 2-year terms comprised of business leaders throughout the Tahoe City community. Our TCDA board truly represents the diverse industries in Tahoe City. and from the Tahoe City Weekly newspaper, Moe's Barbecue, to Tahoe Luxury Properties, and the Tahoe Art House and Cinema. We feel like we truly represent the heartbeat of our community. Additionally, TCDA has a 2.25 person staff with an executive director that we are currently in the process of hiring, my replacement, an office manager, and a very part-time events and volunteer coordinator. The Tahoe City Downtown Association was founded in 2004, the same year Placer County generously invested in Main Street program funding for our district. TCDA follows the 4-point Main Street approach of organization, promotion, design, and economic vitality to continue our vision to make Tahoe City's America's best mountain town to live, work, play, and visit. The TCDA Board of Directors have led the way to keep our community, to help our community work towards a stronger Tahoe City by focusing on 5 key focus areas of our 3-year strategic plan, which includes produce great events, implement creative marketing, advocate for a better Tahoe City through community design, serve as a catalyst for innovation, and strengthen TCDA's capacity to support our vision. In 2016, it really was a banner year for the Tahoe City Downtown Association, so I'm proud to leave the organization in very good hands right now. Your support, combined with our successful fundraising efforts, have noticeably strengthened the administrative and capacity of our small nonprofit 501c organization. Some highlights include we've successfully implemented and managed the 3rd year of our strategic plan. We have cultivated over $50,000 in grant funding for Tahoe City, plus we partnered on a $300,000 grant to secure the Tahoe City ice rink that moved into Tahoe City in 2016. We've grown volunteerism by almost 50%. We've grown PR and marketing efforts with a mix of media visits and digital efforts, we're working to launch a new TCDA website later this month. We've successfully produced 25 annual TCDA events, including a new and improved Tahoe City Oktoberfest with tripled event attendance in 2016, the highest attended ever Concerts in Commons Beach music series, which is a free summer music series. We had about 30,000 attendees in 2016. We also increased our sponsorships by about 40% for that event. And we resumed full production of the Tahoe City Wine Walk, creating TCDA's most successful fundraising event ever. We've improved townwide communication and design efforts with expanded flower baskets in the summer, holiday lighting in the winter, and we are a partner in the Tahoe Public Art Program. We've successfully advocated for town-wide economic vitality with recent approvals of downtown redevelopment projects such as the Tahoe City Lodge that should be moving forward this summer. And overall, TCDA has matured from a struggling nonprofit organization when I started 3 years ago to a strong, vibrant organization that really serves for one voice for Tahoe City. TCDA is the only organization 100% dedicated to Tahoe City, and our members truly value our efforts. In 2016, we've grown our membership to about 220 members, which is a 33% increase from 2015. And we've also implemented new CRM membership software to add more value to our membership, to our members, and increase SEO optimization for people to find their business locations on the TCDA Visit TahoeCity.org website. Promotion takes many forms, but TCDA tries to always create a positive image to renew community pride and tell our unique Tahoe City story to the surrounding region. With your annual support, combined with leveraging over $22,000 in trade from our local media partners, the TCDA Promotion Committee has guided our story through print, television, radio, social media, and events. In 2016, we've successfully secured over 50 media placements, including the Sacramento Bee, Marin Magazine, ABC 10 out of Sacramento, CBS 13 out of Sacramento, and also we've been on Reno news station as well. My face got a lot of airtime representing Tahoe City. I kind of like to be on television, so I had fun with it. With the growth of social media, TCDA remains active and engaged by creating Instagram takeovers, Faces of Tahoe City weekly community stories. I wrote my own community story last week. It was kind of fun to interview myself, I guess. And daily authentic posts. Our engagement has definitely been paying off with a 660% increase on Instagram from last year, 24% increase on Facebook, 11% increase on Twitter. Being a kind of borderline millennial, I enjoy watching the changes of technology, and I always really try to keep Tahoe City up with all the cutting-edge technology advances. In 2016, we also produced 36 townwide light post banners and finalized our first ever promotional Tahoe City video. We also continue to invest in photos and video assets to help us tell our story. One final promotions highlight I want to mention is that TCDA welcomed over 10 regional and national travel writers to Tahoe City over the past year, and we believe our efforts have really paid off on our very shoestring budget. In April 2016, we hosted an American Way travel writer who published a one-page story in September 2016. This is the in-flight magazine for American Airlines. It has a readership of 30,000 travelers each month and has the advertising equivalency of about $74,000. You can see that Wannabe Townie article. That was the article in American Way magazine. In February 2017, we welcomed Eventbrite Rally, and they created a story called Super Awesome Under the Radar Stuff to Eat, Drink, Do in Tahoe City This Winter, which published February of 2017. That had a media placement value of $9,000. And finally, we just recently hosted the San Francisco Chronicle in February 2017, and their weekender story, The Evolving Scene in Sleepy Tahoe City, published on March 30th, and that had a media placement value of $11,000. Due to partnering with our incredible lodging partners, dining, and recreational members, TCDA hard cost for all of these incredible visits cost next to nothing. We have about a $10,000 marketing budget, and we really were able to leverage it quite significantly on these recent media visits. The production, promotion, implementation, and evaluation of quality community events is really a cornerstone of TCDA. When you talk to a lot of people, they think I'm just one big event planner all year round. We do a lot more than that, but this is kind of what our members and community knows us for, is the high quality we produce to bring people to Tahoe City. In 2016, we produced about 25 signature events and contributed to a variety of our partner events, including the Alpenglow Mountain Festival, the Lake Tahoe Dance Festival, and the Tahoe City Farmers Market. Let me highlight some of our 2016 successes led by our volunteer event teams and staff. The Tahoe City Wine Walk welcomed nearly 800 attendees who sipped and shopped their way through Tahoe City last summer. Over 75% of attendees came from out of the area, and many TCDA businesses credit this event as their favorite event all year round because it truly brings people into the stores in Tahoe City. Concerts at Commons Beach, a partnership with the Tahoe City Public Utility District Parks and Rec Department, drew nearly 30,000 attendees in our 12-week series last year. This series is the largest free concert series in North Lake Tahoe. We're a little concerned this year because our beach is significantly smaller, so they'll have to really pack quite a bit closer on the grassy area in 2017. But a lot of people will probably be listening from boats and kayaks this year, which is pretty exciting. Tahoe City celebrated our 71st annual Fireworks and Beach Bash with our biggest show to date last year. Plus, we partnered with the North Tahoe Business Association and the North Lake Tahoe Resort Association and Placer County to market our events as back-to-back shows, the only back-to-back shows in North Lake Tahoe. Fox News recognized Tahoe City and Kings Beach as the fourth best place to see fireworks in 2016. And the Tahoe City Oktoberfest welcomed almost 3,000 attendees to the rustic Layton Park Gatekeeper Museum last year for beer, brats, music, fun for the whole family. The day included various wine and beer vendors, food vendors, 2 bands, shopping booths, games, and a huge raffle. Our 2016 event tripled event attendance from the previous year. Plus, in October, we're known to decorate downtown with about 40 to 50 scarecrows on parade and corn stalks. So we really like to roll out the red carpet in the month of October to welcome fall visitors to town. And with 2017 in full gear, TCDA is busy planning for another season of events and projects. TCDA is excited about the following opportunities for Tahoe City. 25 returning TCDA signature events, bigger and better than ever before. The completion of the Tahoe Basin Area Plan and economic incentives for town center development to help incentivize downtown development and redevelopment in our downtown core. There's a lot of great opportunities we see for the future due to the impacts of the plan. Breaking ground of the Fanny Bridge community revitalization projects that hopefully will kick off once the snow melts in Tahoe City this summer. Breaking ground of the Tahoe City Lodge project, plus the new base camp Tahoe City, which is another unique lodge in Tahoe City that redeveloped themselves last summer. And of course, the Tahoe City Ice Skating Rink, which opened to a record number of attendees in 2016 and helps bring year-round visitors, especially in winter and spring months, to Tahoe City. To conclude, I'd like to thank Placer County for allowing me to help lead Tahoe City for the last 3 years. As Jennifer Merchant said, last week was actually my final week as the executive director of the Tahoe City Downtown Association, even though I'll be helping out for the next few weeks or months. And we're, like I said before, we're hiring a new ED, so if you know anyone, please let me know. We'd love to have them continue where I left off for Tahoe City. Earlier this month, I accepted the job of Director of Undergraduate Admissions for Sierra Nevada College in Incline Village, which is what I used to do before I ran a downtown association. I actually ran, I was the assistant director of admissions for Humboldt State University for about 9 years. So I do have an underlying passion of helping students strive towards higher education. And actually, I have to go back to work as soon as I finish my presentation, so I'll be headed over to Incline Village in a couple of hours. Even though I'm not the executive director of TCDA anymore, I still live and proudly own a home in Tahoe City, and I look forward to continuing with TCDA, but as a volunteer. Again, thank you for our support for helping us advance the community building vision of the Tahoe City Downtown Association. TCDA could not successfully implement our Main Street strategy without all of you. It's been an honor and a pleasure to serve you, and I look forward to seeing you at a Tahoe City event this summer. Come find me because the beer or wine is on me. Thank you.
Stacy, thank you. Any questions or comments from any member of the board on this? I see none, but I want to weigh in and just say that, I've had the opportunity to work with, I think, 4 different executive directors with the TCDA over the past 8+ years. And you have been absolutely the most incredibly productive executive director. You've been a delight to work with. You've been a great partner for Placer County. I'm really bummed on one hand that you're leaving, but I'm just so delighted for you for this new opportunity, and you will be seeing me at many of those events coming up this summer and next fall. But I want the next executive director to make sure that we win that darn scarecrow contest next year. We put a scarecrow up every year, and we're so far out at the end of town that I'm not sure how many people see us, but thank you so much for all your work, your efforts. Thank you for this update. TCDA has done an incredible amount. I hope the board is involving you intimately in the decision regarding a new executive director. Thank you. Jennifer, anything you wanted to add? That's it? Okay. That was just an update. Thank you so much for that. Drive carefully. I know it is snowing up there, so careful on your way back to Incline Village. We are now going to move to our 11 a.m. timed item. This is a Community Development Resource Agency item. This is our annual Housing Element Implementation Progress Report, and this is a public hearing, so after our initial report, I will open this up to the public for comment. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Shauna Purvines. I'm with Community Development Resources Agency. And as you stated, this is the annual Housing Element Implementation Progress Report for the calendar year of 2016. It highlights the progress towards the implementation of the 2013-2021 Housing Element. The item is brought to your board prior to submitting it to the state for that opportunity for the public to comment on the report. Those comments, along with the report, will be submitted to the state following the public hearing. So with that, I will...
So we all did receive a copy of this in advance. Were there any questions or comments from any member of the board on this? Shauna, it was pretty straightforward, the report. Thank you very much. We look forward to hearing this every year, but as this is a public hearing, I am now going to open it up to the public and ask for any input from the public on this. Please come forward.
Good morning, Supervisors. I'm Mike Garabedian for Placer Group Sierra Club. It's been some years since I was familiar with the regional allocation of affordable housing guidelines, so and I'm certainly not up to date now. But based on so I have a question basically that I probably should know the answer to. I went to a City of Lincoln presentation recently where the city described its process of creating the entitlements by its own design and then selling those entitlements to developers. And so I asked several questions, but the one that's pertinent here is I asked if the Lincoln has affordable housing guidelines or requirements, and the answer was no. So the question I have has to do with if there is any relationship between, say, a city's allocation and what it's doing and the county, and the counties in this report, or are they separate? I could elaborate on that a little bit if it isn't clear, but I'm just trying to understand the relationship between, in that particular example, what Lincoln's not doing and what we are doing, or you're doing here.
My understanding, and I will turn either to County Council or to our CEO for this, is that they're entirely separate actions. While we are certainly aware of what the other jurisdictions are doing, as they are aware of what we're doing, they are fully separate under the law. I don't think I'm wrong in that. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please come forward. Welcome, Will.
Good morning, Madam Chair, board members. I reviewed the report.
Would you introduce
I'm
yourself,
sorry.
please?
Will Taylor, Placer Independent Resource Services.
Thank you.
I figure you all know me by now.
We do, but not everyone listening might.
I was a little concerned with the numbers in the report on Table B. Just for very low and low income, remaining rural housing need assessment by income level homes or units, we're looking at about 2,200 units shortfall just for low and very low income folks. The total of shortfall is 37, was that 908? So, as you know, as you all know, there's a shortage of affordable housing here, and I really encourage you, if there's a date, here's a question. Has the in lieu fee study come forward yet, or will that be coming forward soon?
It has not come forward yet. I believe it will be coming forward within about the next 4 months. Jennifer Merchant has been handling this aspect. I think she can address this.
Do you want me to wait for?
Yeah.
Do you have any other?
Yeah, let's see if Will has any other questions or comments that you might be able to address at the same time.
Well, I look forward to hearing that study and what's proposed as far as in lieu fees, but I really encourage you, in the face of the severe shortage of affordable units, that you reject any proposals for in lieu fees and actually require developers to build. So thank you for all the work you're doing.
Thank you, Will. Jennifer, did you want to address that question?
Sure, I'm happy to. Jennifer Merchant, County Executive Office. Based on the presentation and discussion we had with your board at the April 4th meeting, we're planning on working with stakeholders in the community to talk about the in lieu fee study that's been drafted to date. And we think that's, we actually got a meeting with CEDRA staff today. We think that's probably going to get initiated sometime in May or June. Start outreaching about what it is that we're proposing. Certainly, in lieu fees would not be utilized in any case to accommodate all of the affordable housing needs or the allocation that is required by the state of California. It would certainly be used as only one potential tool if it were implemented by your board. So we got a lot of that feedback as we've gone forward so far and continue to get more feedback, and will as we review the draft document with stakeholders in the next couple months.
Okay, and I would encourage us to work with PERS and include them in our stakeholder group.
Absolutely, they're on our list.
Oh, terrific.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
All right, well, thumbs up. Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
Jennifer, I just want to throw something out there to Will, that there are some areas that just can't, when you do a project, you can't build half a unit. I think if you ask Kirk, he'll tell you that when they do buildings in Granite Bay, that it's very difficult to, they'll have 1.5. So I think what we have to do in those cases is try to find a way to aggregate those and build one large unit with multiple avenues with those aggregated requirements. That's why, just saying everybody's got to build in some instances, goes against and it makes it more difficult for us to do those kinds of things. So, and I advocate use of a lot of different tools in a lot of different areas so we can all get to the same place. And we may have differences from what we do down here in Roseville to what we do up in Tahoe or what we do in Rockland or Lincoln.
Thank you, Supervisor Duran. All right. Any other public comments on this, either here in Auburn or in Tahoe City? I see none, so I will close the public hearing. Jerry, do we have to take any actual action on this? We're being asked to accept public or written comments and authorize submittal. So I guess we're going to be having a motion to authorize submittal.
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none. Any abstentions? Let the record reflect that Supervisor Euler was out of the room. All right. We have completed all our timed items. We are now going to move to some department items. We're beginning with Public Works and Facilities. Rob Unholz will be presenting on the Americans with Disabilities Act Self-Evaluation and Transition Plan and asking us to execute a consultant services agreement. Welcome, Rob.
Good morning, Chair Montgomery, members of the board. I'm Rob Unholz with Capital Improvements Manager with Department of Public Works and Facilities. This morning, I'm requesting that your board approve and authorize the Chair to execute a consultant agreement with Disability Access Consultants to provide an Americans with Disability Act self-evaluation and transition plan in an amount not to exceed $514,500. This is funded by the Capital Projects Fund in fiscal year 2016 final budget and the fiscal year 2017-18 requested budget. The county completed its initial ADA self-evaluation and transition plan in 1993. It's now time to update that to comply with the ADA. This time the work will not only evaluate facilities, but it will also include parks, trails, curb ramps, sidewalks, and transit stops. 6 proposals were received in response to the RFP. Proposals were reviewed and ranked by an evaluation committee consisting of representatives from capital improvements, parks, roads, transit, and the county executive office. The top-ranked firms were identified, or the two top-ranked firms were invited to interviews, and DAC was determined to be the top-ranked firm at the conclusion of the interviews. They've done work with 11 California counties and numerous California cities, and their main office is located in Oroville. Staff has successfully negotiated an agreement with DAC that includes public facility accessibility, public participation, staff training and evaluation, and management tools to assist the county in maintaining and updating the plan. The work is expected to be complete approximately 12 months after the notice of completion. And with that, we will have a plan that we can update. We will have cost estimates and a prioritized plan to implement any accessibility issues that the plan identifies. In order to proceed, staff recommends that your board approve the agreement with DAC and authorize the chair to execute a contract in the amount not to exceed $514,500. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Rob. Any questions from the board? I see none. Any questions or comments from any member of the audience? I see none. I think you've done a great job presenting, Rob. What's the pleasure of the board? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you very much, Rob. We are now going to be hearing from Kansas McGann. This is the Resort Triangle Trail. That's hard to say. It's a tongue twister. This is a funding application for, I think, not from, the California Federal Lands Access Program. Kansas, welcome.
Good morning, Chair Montgomery and board members. I'm Kansas McGann. I'm a senior engineer with Tahoe Engineering Division, Department of Public Works and Facilities. I am here to request that the board adopt a resolution to approve the submittal of a California Federal Lands Access Program, or a FLAP grant. We're going in as a co-applicant with the town of Truckee for construction of 3 segments of the Resort Triangle Trail. 2 of those segments will be in Placer County. 1 segment will be within the town of Truckee limits. This proposal will include a commitment from Placer County for a minimum of an 11.47% match amount, and we're requesting that you authorize the Director of Public Works and Facilities to execute that grant funding agreement. So the FLAP program is actually a federal program. It's managed out of Colorado, but they do have a specific earmark for California. So part of the prerequisite for this program is that we're accessing federal lands. And the submittal of a coordinated agency application with Town of Truckee is, it really will elevate our application competitiveness. This will enhance public access to federal lands. We have an endorsement from the U.S. Forest Service, the Truckee Division. They have written us a letter of endorsement for this proposal. The Resort Triangle Trail concept it's this concept that we came up with to connect the communities of Placer County, Tahoe City on the North Shore, Kings Beach, and then town of Truckee. So there's 3 sections of trail. One is in Martis Valley. It's going to connect the North Star community, and on the west side, it's the section of trail. Town of Truckee calls it their Legacy Trail, but it's the Legacy Trail coming in from behind Cottonwood or the Hilltop Development. On the south side of the Truckee River going into Placer County, and it will terminate at the intersection of West River Street and Highway 89. So as far as the match amount, we have a commitment from the TOT dollars. We also have Area 1 park dedication fees to the Martis Valley Trail project. And then in addition to that, there's two key acquisition parcels that we're currently working on, and we'd like to negotiate easements with. Any of the acquisition funds expended by Placer County can also be used as match. And I just wanted to clarify, we're still kind of tweaking that project estimate, but the match requirement will only be an obligation for that section of trail that's within Placer County. So, thank you.
Thank you, Kansas. Any questions from any member of the board on this? Okay, I see none. I'm just delighted that we continue to move forward on creating the connectivity along these recreation paths on the Resort Triangle. The trail that we're going to be partnering with the town of Truckee on ultimately will end up in Reno. So it will be an opportunity for people in Reno to bicycle up, spend a lot of money in Placer County during the course of their day, and then bicycle back home to Reno. So this is a terrific step forward on this. Any questions or comments from any member of the public? Anyone in Tahoe City? I see none. What's the pleasure of the board? I think we had a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Kansas, thank you very much. And Kirk, just as a quick comment, unrelated to this particular thing, I know a couple of years you went over your handlebars on Old Highway 40. We did also partner with Nevada County on a project on Old Highway 40 that will address some of those issues. So a lot going on in the east end of the county. Maybe not Kirk going over his handlebars, but the road that caused him to do that. Yes. Oh.
Maybe we have some funding coming for those potholes.
Yeah. All right, we're now going to move to item 10C. This is the Tier 2 New Development Fee Program Memorandum of Agreement for the Placer Parkway Regional Project. Stephanie Holloway presenting. Welcome.
Good morning, I believe so. Yes, good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Stephanie Holloway with the Department of Public Works and Facilities. We're here before you this morning to request that you consider a second amendment to the Tier 2 Development Fee Program. As you know, this fee program is intended to be future funding for our Placer Parkway improvements. The program applies to development projects with specific plans, so our growth areas of the county, and it's implemented through their development agreements. The deferral allowance of the fees is intended to stimulate development and facilitate faster construction of that parkway. A little bit of background for you. Your board did approve the first amendment to the fee program back in July of 2013, which allowed deferral up to a 30-year period. That first amendment did include a maximum unit count with the proposal. The proposed modifications before you today would remove that maximum unit count. Sorry, that's hard for me today. Would extend eligibility to January 1st of 2035 with a 30-year deferral term. The deferral, if chosen by the developers, could include up to a 50% deferral of the fee, which is consistent with the current deferral program today. Our local partners at Sparta on the Technical Advisory Committee do support this change. If supported by all member boards, the Sparta board would take final action. And lastly, future participation by projects in the deferral program would come before your board for review and approval should they choose to request the deferral. In conclusion, all members of all agencies agree that this does even the playing field for developments across jurisdictions for future development. Although it extends the fee deferral program, it's not intended to be forever. So with that, we are asking your board to adopt a resolution approving the second amendment to the Memorandum of Agreement of the Tier 2 Development Fee Program and authorize the chair to execute the MOA. With that, I can answer any questions.
Thank you, Stephanie. Any questions from any member of the board? I see none. Any questions or comments from any member of the public? Mr. Garabedian.
Good morning still, I think. Mike Garabedian, Placer Group Sierra Club. Let's see, I have several questions that to see if staff could cover some of the things that have happened under the existing, maybe in a summary manner, sort of answer some questions about what's happened under the first, the MOU and the First Amendment. Now, I'm assuming this applies only to Placer Parkway. That would, but I don't know if I'm totally sure about that. I wonder what success there has been in facilitating or encouraging this process to be used, and what the value of the use has been. And 30 years seems, it's called short term, 30 years seems a long term. I don't mean to be quibbling over what's short and what's long, but I just wonder what the reason for that long time is. And then finally, reports from the annual county report and annual locality reports are required to come in and say what they're doing. So I just wonder if there could be a summary of, if there are answers to those questions, of them. And I don't know if I need to reiterate, but the Sierra Club doesn't believe that there should be subsidy for highway lane capacity increases, that really the developers should be paying upfront for it. And and then a related issue we've raised before is that Placer Ranch, of course, is being developed or supported in great part, and not totally clear, by the county. And so the county is acting, I'm curious about what happens. Would the county be deferring? Would the county, if it's doing entitlements, how would it be affected by this deferment? Would the county efforts in Placer Ranch be affected by this? So those are my observations and questions.
Stephanie, did you get did you tick those off as they went through?
Thank you.
Thank you.
So as far as how successful the fee deferral has been, as you know, in Roseville, Sierra Vista is moving forward. I do believe that they have applied for a fee deferral. And as you heard earlier, maybe you heard or didn't hear from Rick Erie, we do anticipate a number of Placer Vineyards development maps coming forward. So we do see those specific plan areas starting to develop and process through our program. So although it's hard to know completely how much stimulus it provides, we are seeing those development maps coming forward. As far as the time period, we did look into the future with the amount of slated development in our growth areas, and we believe that the 2035 mark, we really haven't absorbed all of that development at that time. So again, as I said, it's not meant to be forever. It does have a sunset on it. So,
and 2035, I believe, is 18 years, not 30.
Right, so the deferral would be 30 years after that date. That would be the 30-year deferral.
Got it.
And then as far as the question of subsidy, it is a fee deferral. We don't anticipate, outside of the original loan for the design of the Placer Parkway phasing, it is a fee that the developers are required to submit to us. So it is something that they are funding.
And then I think the last question was there a sort of a nexus or some relationship between Placer Ranch and this action on Placer Parkway?
Right, so the county is processing Placer Ranch. The fee requirement and the fee deferral should ranch, and whoever processes that into the future would come at the time of building permit processing. So at that point, the county would have processed the entitlements, but home builders would have taken on that liability at that point.
Well, thank you. Do we know the value of deferred value so far?
I don't.
Or predictions for the future?
Yeah, I don't have that off the top of my head. Yeah.
Okay, I'll be in touch.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other public comments or questions? Please come forward and identify yourself.
Thank you. Al Johnson, representing the Placer Vineyards Owners Group. The program for fee deferral is based on large specific plans that have been approved in recent years. The first one being Sierra Vista. There's literally no deferrals that have occurred so far. I mean, very, very few. The reason for this request, and I think the reason why you see all the agencies supporting it, is that the original approval had a very limited number of units at 50% and some at 30%. And it placed specific plans at a disadvantage when they were coming in. This places a universal deferral for everyone, regardless of where you are, until the year 2035. So it allows developers to plan, especially when you're passing large CFDs, that, as an example, in Placer Vineyards, it's over 3,000 units in the first phase. It gives some certainty as to what that fee structure will be. As mentioned by Stephanie, the Placer Parkway is paid entirely by development fees. Any deferral escalates every year to keep up, so there's no shortfall. And then at the 30-year mark, a bond is issued, and the program is paid entirely at that 30-year program. It is all paid, right in one lump sum. So it allows the county to plan for big projects that can go forward. We did an analysis with all the agencies on what kind of delay this would be to phasing. Actually, first phase was like a year. Second phase was like 2 or 3 years. And as you got out, the delay got larger for the larger phases, but they are way down the line as before they get constructed in the final phases of Parkway. So I would encourage the board to approve the staff's recommendation and would answer any questions that you have.
Any questions for Mr. Johnson?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any other public comments on this? All right, I will bring it back to the board. Motion, Duran, second. Let's give it to Holmes. Sorry, gentlemen. All right. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you very much. All right, now we're going to move to item 11A. This is a county executive item relating to the Alta Fire Protection District and a vacancy they have on their district board of directors. John McEldowney will be presenting, and we have Megan Wood for backup if necessary. Welcome, John.
Thank you, Madam Chair, board members. Again, John McEldowney, Emergency Services Program Manager. Today I'm requesting that you consider applicants for the Alta Fire Protection District Board of Directors. By way of background, the Alta Fire Protection District is an independent special district formed under the Fire Protection District Law, Health, and Safety Code. There is currently a vacancy on the district's board of directors per Government Code Section 1780F. The district board has the authority to fill a vacancy within 60 days of notification of the vacancy. The Board of Supervisors has the authority to fill the vacancy for up to 90 days after the district board is notified of the vacancy. If the vacancy is not filled within that 90-day time frame, the district board is required to call an election to fill the vacancy. On April 7th of 2017, the Board of Supervisors was notified that a vacancy had occurred and that the district has been unable to fill this vacancy within the 60-day time period. A vacancy notice was posted on April 14th, 2017, seeking resumes, and an application is on file as of April 20th of this year. The Alta Fire Protection Board of Directors is charged with overseeing the financial and business aspects of the district, and also applicants must reside and be a registered voter within the district boundaries. Meetings are held on the first Thursday of every month at 7 p.m. And just as an aside, this is a volunteer position, so there's no fiscal impact to the county.
Thank you, John. Any questions or comments on this? Just as a little bit of background, we do have one applicant for this. She does meet all the requirements. Jerry, does the board need to take a specific action appointing her?
Yeah, the action would be to appoint Christine Miller to the vacant seat on the Alta Fire Protection District Board of Directors.
Excellent, thank you. It just said consider applicants and wasn't sure if we had to take anything beyond consideration. Is there a motion? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you very much. All right, we are now going to adjourn to closed session with county council.
The board will now adjourn to closed session to take up 3 items listed on page 4 of the agenda. There's a conference with legal counsel regarding one matter of existing litigation, a conference with real property negotiators, and a conference with labor negotiators regarding PPO negotiations. The board has returned from closed session. In a conference with legal counsel, the board heard a report on an existing litigation matter and gave direction to counsel. In a conference with its real property negotiators, the board heard a report on a potential acquisition and gave direction to its real property negotiators. And finally, in a conference with its labor negotiators, the board heard a report and gave direction to its labor negotiations team. That concludes the closed session report.